What is up, everyone? Please take a second to hit that like button. The more likes that we get in a short period of time, the more people the algorithm will bring into the chat to come hang out with us and see what's going on. So please hit that like button. Let me know how you're doing. And happy freedom. Good afternoon. Good morning, all of you hooligans. Matthew, you were first in the chat on all platforms. You rock, Hooligan. Appreciate you guys being here. We got tons of stuff to cover. All kinds of stuff. But let's make sure everything's running correctly first. While I'm checking this out, make sure you guys are racking up those likes, more hooligans. Also, I was kind of thinking about doing an experiment. Why don't you post in the chat where you received your notification to come to the live today? Because I'm kind of interested to see who's receiving notifications and who's not from where. So let me know. What's up, Undecided? What's up, JB? What's up, Adam? What's up, D Money? What's up, High Plains Drifter? I see you're on both channels. You're awesome. What's up, GQ? What's up, F Wuzzy? What's up, Proud Ankle? What's up, Red? What's up, Adrian? What's up, Crystal Heart? What's up, Grey Wolf? What's up, Eric? Happy Freedom Snooks. What's up, Animated Adventure? What's up, Betrayed by Corrupt Scumbags? Appreciate you being here. Happy freedom, all of you hooligans. What's up, USA Forever? All right, let me read through the chats really quick. Make sure everything's up. What's up, Edward? You get your notifications from Twitter and Gilded. Awesome. What's up, Toy Mafia? What's up, everyone on the JeffMAC Live YouTube channel? What's up, everyone on Twitch? What's up, everyone on Odyssey? Don't forget to reset the page. If you showed up a little early, it's not going to flip over for you. You got to reset it to get that live to kick. What's up, Jeb? Oh, what's up, Joe? Appreciate you guys being here. What's up, everyone on Rumble? Make sure you guys are racking up those likes now that you got a like button over there. Make sure you guys are. And what's up, everyone on Facebook? All right, hooligans, let's get her started. Oh yeah, we're live on the website too. This is what it looks like on the website. For those of you that can make it to the live screen. So if you're a member on the website, I will be watching the chat today if you would like to participate. Poor Captain Seamus showed up in the live on the website and I didn't have it pulled up. He was in there chatting by himself. Poor Hooligan. Make sure I'm not going to do that today. I don't want to ignore you guys. Especially the hooligans over on the website. All right. Well, today I think is going to be a long one. I don't have anywhere to be at 2:30 or really at all today. So we could really stretch this out. That's what she said. So today we'll be rolling with the White House press briefing clown show, but that doesn't start till 2:35. We'll probably run this right into that and keep it rolling. But before that happens, we'll be watching a video on Hyena Harris flapping her lips on the 50th commemoration of Roe vs. Wade decision. I believe the video was yesterday or the day before it came out. So we're going to cover that. Then we're going to cover an article about Nancy Pelosi having an exorcism to banish bad spirits after her husband was attacked. It's fairly humorous to read through that. Then we're going to be covering a video showing the Forrest Defender camp in Atlanta. For those of you that don't know, the Antifa group in Atlanta, that's what they're calling themselves, the Forrest Defenders. That must be why they were throwing rocks through the doors of the police department or whatever that building was over the weekend. And I think that footage is really funny too, because that's circulating, but you don't see anybody else with any other kind of footage. It's like, looking like a psyop, looking like how the riot started. Anyways, then we're going to be covering an article talking about Alec Baldwin, how he's being hit with involuntary manslaughter charges. Then we're going to be covering a video on Old Man Walter's newfound batch of classified documents. Then we'll be wrapping up today with a video showing the Paris riots as the police break up the pension reform protest after a bank building was attacked. So we're going to be covering all of that. So let me read through the chat really quick, make sure everyone's all settled. Drop a 1 in the chat if you have your coffee, your water, your tea, whatever it may be, and you are ready to go. Let me know with a 1 in the chat. Thank you so much, Rasta, for continuing the membership program for 12 months. You're officially a hooligan. I appreciate you. You just got a new badge, that 12-month one. You're awesome. Thank you. Gary, haircut looks good. Thank you. Thank you. I actually cut it this morning. On Saturday, there was a couple hooligans in the chat, and they were just joking around, but they were like, you need to cut your hair, you hippie. It's because you can see this like light line that goes around the front here because age is catching up to me. But, you know, it is what it is. I appreciate you hooligans keeping me tip-top. You guys crack me up. 96 hooligans in the chat, only 60-something likes. Come on, man.
Come on, man.
All right, I'm seeing the ones in the chat. Let's get her started. Cue the fake cheering.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Thank you. I'm Sujatha, Dr. Sujatha Prabhakaran. My pronouns are she, her. For almost 14 years now.
Waste no time to throw that in my face. I've been having a hard weekend, we'll just say that.
Of Southwest and Central Florida. On behalf of all abortion care workers, the doctors, the nurses, the healthcare assistants, and staff.
Bubba, new signing guy? I think it's the second time we've seen him. I think he's Hyena Harris's designated signing guy, Mr. Neckbeard. I don't know.
It is so meaningful to see our community show up here today and to be joined not only by great leaders from our movement, but by an incredible champion for reproductive rights, Vice President Kamala Harris. We have all traveled through rain.
I need to get a booing button.
Planes and piled into our own cars to join together in this space to commemorate Roe versus Wade and our right to abortion, which was stolen from us last summer.
It was not a right. Never has been.
Since the Dobbs decision,
It was just in limbo.
and I have felt heartache over and over again. We must tell patients that we can't give them the care we are trained and qualified to provide. They understand that we want to help, and they don't blame us. But they know that they no longer have control over their own bodies. And for those of us who've been marginalized for so long, people who can become pregnant, people with black or brown skin, people with lower incomes, or who don't speak the dominant language, or have differing abilities, the loss of our reproductive freedom has told us
People that can get pregnant. It's just ringing so loud in my head.
and less safe. I do my best to alleviate that feeling in my exam.
I thought she was going to stroke out from a jab or something like that.
Of my patients who travel from across the Southeast for care they should have been able to access in their own communities. Sometimes that comfort is all I can offer. Recently, I cared for a patient who learned at her appointment that she was close to our state's gestational age limit. Because of Florida's forced waiting period, I could not give her the care that she needed that day. And in fact, after that waiting period expired, she would have been too far along to get an abortion in the state of Florida. Because of that, she needed to figure out how to care for her 9-month-old baby while traveling to another state, potentially putting her job, and with it her ability to feed her child, at risk. There are so many people like her who experience the unnecessary harm and pain that comes with being denied the basic health care they need. And that harm falls on our whole society. That is why it's so important that we not lose hope. In fact, we must...
That stuff wrecks me that they call it healthcare. Healthcare generally means to make things better, not to kill things off. Unless you're talking about viruses and stuff like that, you know, germs, kill the germs off. Well, this case, that's not a germ that's being killed off.
True reproductive freedom.
It should not be called
Like Vice President...
all this nonsense that they're calling it healthcare and whatnot.
As an abortion physician, it means a great deal to me to have a vice president who, for her entire career, has stood up for my patients, for my fellow providers, and for all of us. As an abortion care advocate, I admire Vice President Harris's commitment to listening to experts, the healthcare providers, the social justice leaders, legal experts, and the legislators who are on the front lines of the fight in our states. And as an Indian American woman, it means that I could tell my 3-year-old daughter that I was coming to introduce a vice president who is half Indian, just like her. Those are such powerful and inspiring words, just like her. And, as they say on Family Karma, if you know, you know, so proud to have Auntie G in the house. So, it is my incredible honor to introduce an amazing human.
It's in the house.
Who knows, just like we all do, that healthcare is a human right, and that
yeah, healthcare is a human right. Death care is not.
Is healthcare. Welcome and thank you, Vice President Kamala Harris.
Prostitute. Hello.
I'm surprised they didn't play like stripper music and have her come out with a bunch of, you know, bunch of toasters. Maybe some children. You know, they're all about that stuff.
Rocklyn, where are you? There she is.
Ooh, are you drunk already?
But is always on the stage. And we love all of our frontline folks. And this room is
She sounds way intoxicated.
filled with them. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, everybody. Why is her face so yellow it's almost green?
Tallahassee in the house.
It's in the house.
So before we talk about the subject for which we all convene, I do want to address the tragedy of what happened in my home state in Monterey Park, California. A time of a cultural celebration, and yet another community has been torn apart by senseless gun violence. So Doug and I joined the President and Dr. Biden, and I know everyone here, in mourning for those who were killed, as we pray for those who were injured, and as we grieve for those many people whose lives are forever changed. All of us in this room and in our country understand this violence must stop, and President Biden and I and our administration will continue to provide full support to the local authorities as we learn more. And with that, I want to address another topic, which is the reason that we all join together today. I am honored to be with members of the United States Congress who are here, state and local elected officials, I'm glad to be with you. And all of the coalition partners who are represented here. Let's give it up for everyone.
Yeah, clap into the mic. I swear they just do that to spite me at this point.
We are here together because we collectively believe and know America is a promise. America is a promise. It is a promise of freedom and liberty. Not for some, but for all.
Mm-hmm.
A promise we made in the Declaration of Independence. That we are each endowed with the right to liberty and the pursuit of happiness.
That's everyone, right? Not just who you select.
To be clear, these rights were not bestowed upon us. They belong to us as Americans. And it is that freedom and liberty that enabled generations of Americans to chart their own course and decide their own future with, yes, ambition and aspiration. Therein lies the strength of our nation. And since our founding, we have then been on a march forward to fully realize our promise, to complete the unfinished
Captain Safety. This video is from Saturday or Sunday.
and liberty for all. Now, these outcomes will not be inevitable. They will not just happen. It takes steadfast determination and dedication, the kind of determination and dedication possessed by some of our greatest patriots, those Americans who fought a civil war to end the sin of slavery, who organized at Seneca Falls to secure a woman's right to vote, who launched the Freedom Rides to advance civil rights, and spoke out at the Stonewall Inn to defend human rights.
Defend human rights, but then the subject of this, the opposite.
Those leaders expanded rights, which then advanced the cause of freedom and liberty. And 50 years ago today, so did those who won a fight in the United States Supreme Court to recognize the fundamental constitutional right of a woman to make decisions about her own body. Not the government.
I saw someone make an argument saying if it was her body, then she'd be the one kicking the bucket after the procedure. That's just ringing loud in my ears right now.
For nearly 50 years, Americans relied on the rights that Roe protected. Today, however, on what would have been its 50th anniversary, we speak of the Roe decision in the past tense. Because last June, the United States Supreme Court took away that constitutional right, a fundamental right, a basic freedom from the people of America, from the women of America.
That's inaccurate.
Has meant already that many dedicated doctors and nurses now lose their ability to care for their patients. That providers risk going to jail just for doing their job. and that patients are denied critical care and even fear that they will be punished simply for seeking care. It has meant that a 10-year-old child in Ohio who was sexually assaulted and became pregnant had to leave her home state and travel to another to receive care. It has meant that the doctor who treated her faced death threats and efforts to take away her medical license. And for Amanda, a 35-year-old woman in Texas, it meant in the midst of a miscarriage, she was denied treatment 3 times in 3 days at an emergency room because of that state's abortion ban. And only after she developed sepsis, an infection that almost killed her, did the hospital finally admit her. Thank God, Amanda survived, and she, with her husband Josh, is here today.
Poor microphones. Just getting clapped right into.
And I want to thank them
By a full-blown trash bag wearing so much makeup, she looks like the unincredible Hulk.
that will
The lacking Hulk.
individuals and their families to know they are not alone. The consequences
It's like they try to make her face a green screen.
are not only limited to those who need reproductive care.
That way we wouldn't have to look at it.
Basic health care is at risk. Consider Emma, a 14-year-old who lives in Arizona. So Emma manages her chronic arthritis with medication that allows her to go to school and live without constant pain. But the medication that helps her can also cause pregnancy loss. So within weeks of the Dobbs decision, her pharmacy initially refused to fill her prescription, afraid that they could be prosecuted under the state's radical law. All of these devastating experiences, the direct result of laws designed by extremists, including in states like Florida.
We have laws being made by extremists? That sounds like a problem.
Last year, so-called leaders at the State House
So-called leaders. Now we're challenging whether or not they're leaders. Okay.
passed a radical abortion ban with no exceptions even for the survivors of crimes like rape and child molestation and human trafficking. Here in Florida, healthcare providers face prison for up to 5 years.
Getting shrill. Getting real shrill.
Job. And now,
Human trash. Thank you so much, Red, for gifting 10 memberships on YouTube. I appreciate you, Red. Thank you so much. If you guys are collecting those memberships, make sure you thank Red. That stuff is not free. Thank you so much, Red.
prescribed by medical professionals. And Florida is not alone. 22 states have announced they will not follow new federal rules that allow women to get medication prescribed by their doctor from a certified pharmacy. Imagine. So today, we are fighting back.
Oh, calling for insurrection. It's a insurrection. It's gonna happen.
I'm pleased to announce that President Biden, I'm announcing it today, has issued a presidential memorandum on this issue. Members of our cabinet and our administration are now directed, as of the president's order, to identify barriers to access to prescription medication and to recommend actions to make sure that doctors can legally prescribe, that pharmacies can dispense, and that women can secure safe and effective medication. So President Biden has done that. At the same time that we work to protect this aspect of reproductive care, many states have gone even further and now have total bans in effect. Alabama, Missouri, and South Dakota, just to name a few. And as clinics close in those states, understand, as clinics are closing in those states, patients have lost access to other basic care, such as routine checkups, cancer screenings, and contraception. And to everyone listening, be sure no one is immune from these impacts. Even in states that protect reproductive rights like New Jersey, Illinois, Oregon, even then, people live in fear of what might be next.
Yeah, listen to where you just named. Yeah, everyone in those states are afraid, but it ain't got to do with this procedure.
Some even from the moment of conception. The right of
Gary, you're hilarious.
every state in this country to make decisions about her own body is on the line. And I've said it before and I will say it again. How dare they? How dare they?
Squawking hard.
And you know,
Thank you so much, Nefties, for continuing the membership program for 1 month. I appreciate you. Thank you.
that mean everything to us as Americans. The heartfelt words of our great national anthem, that America is the land of the free and the home of the brave. But let
You
us
should think about that when you challenge the American people, Hyena Harris.
if a woman cannot make decisions about her own body? Can we truly be free if a doctor...
It sounds so disconnected to say that.
Can we truly be free if families can...
Secretary's dad. Ease up, Greta.
about the course of their own lives?
Happy freedom, Mr. Coffee. Thanks for being here.
Can we truly be free if so-called leaders claim to be, quote, I quote, on the vanguard of freedom, while they dare to restrict the rights of the American people and attack the very foundations of freedom?
Says one of the people that are forcing the jabby jab. Happy freedom, real assistant.
Understand clearly the majority of Americans,
Tell us about us.
Americans of every background, in every community, have voiced their perspective. From Kansas to California, Michigan, Montana,
Don't talk about Michigan. You don't know about Michigan.
with their vote. In essence, they said, one does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree that the government should not be telling people what to do with their own bodies.
Word? I agree. The government shouldn't tell us what to do with our bodies. I agree. I 100% agree with that.
So know this, President Biden and I agree, and we will never back down. We will not back down. And we know this fight will not be won until we secure this right for every American. Congress must pass a bill that protects freedom and liberty. A bill that protects reproductive rights, and President Biden will sign it.
Well, she's got the yelling down, but will she whisper into the microphone?
So yes, America is a promise we must all make real. In every state, in every community, in every state house, in every doctor's office, and yes, in every election. So, to all the friends and leaders, I say, let us not be tired or discouraged.
Thank you so much, Betrayed by Corrupt Scumbags, for continuing the membership program for 8 months. And I appreciate you. Thank you.
So we will continue to stand together in the fight to protect the freedom and liberty of all people, of all women everywhere. And here now, on this 50th anniversary,
Justin, you think me and the sign guy were twinning?
to make history and secure this right. Today, I invite all Americans to join us and to remember, when we fight, we win. Thank you all. May God bless you and may God bless America. Thank you.
You know she's inebriated, screaming into the mic till it's distorted. What a just full-blown human trash bag. Alright, Hooligans moving forward. Good Nas, good Nas. Shanti, call her an insurrectionist. She's nothing special, I'll tell you that. Dennis, I love the audio engineering comments about the mics. I do lo-fi do-it-yourself recordings. I would love to check that out. I don't know if you know this, but I have a bachelor's degree in music production and audio engineering, and I care a lot about audio equipment and stuff like that. It's very expensive, very sensitive, often misused by untrained individuals, but yes, I care much about it. If you would like to send me an email with your links and stuff, I'd love to check that stuff out that you create. What's up, Arizona Pools? Just reading through the chat really quick before we move forward. I feel like I raced through the show a little bit too fast, so I'm trying to hang out a little bit. Alright, moving forward, we have about 20 minutes until KJP is supposed to step on stage. We still have lots of stuff to cover. We're going to be moving to an article about Nancy Pelosi having an exorcism to banish bad spirits after her husband was attacked. So we're gonna be sharing a little about that. I'm gonna post the links in the chat so you guys can follow along with me. Give me a moment. Sir, can you bathe a little quieter? Yes, just a little bit. Thank you. My goodness. How can you clean yourself so loudly? Come on, Klaus Daniels. Justin, through LA Film School? Oh, my degree? No, my degree is through Full Sail. I wanted to go to LA Film School. Something about Full Sail was just calling me though, so I went when I could. I went. And that's kind of one of the things I hear about when we cover like protesters and stuff, and they're crying about, you know, all the oppression they're having and whatnot. A lot of times they're talking about college and stuff. I'm the only person in my family to go to college. I don't really have parents. I don't really have help. I don't have any money. I had to go to adult ed to get my diploma because I never went to school, and I was homeless when I was 17. And it's hard to go to school when you're sleeping outside on playgrounds and stuff. But I never let that stop me from going to college. When I was ready to go to college, I applied for all the financial aid I could get. I needed help. It wasn't that I had money and I'm tricking the system or anything like that. I needed help. I got the help because these programs are in place. It did cost me $75,000 to go to school. But I was able to go, and I was able to go to a place that I wanted to go, to get a degree that I wanted to get. So when people are like, well, I'm really poor, and I mean, I got the new iPhone, and, you know, I got the new iWatch, but I'm really poor, and I can't go to school, and, you know, that's the system's fault, and we're being oppressed. I don't believe that at all. I don't believe that at all. Not at all. So I don't feel bad for any of those people that say, oh, I want to go to, where are you trying to go? Harvard? You trying to go to Harvard? You didn't make it? That's not oppression, son. Sorry to tell you. Anyways, we're going to be covering this article here. Let's scare you guys a little bit. Look at that. That's her O face. Right in those sensual moments. This is the face you get to see as lightning strikes through the window. That's her O face. All right, so the link I gave you should take you to this article. This article talks about, hold up here, I got stuff pasted all over the place. Yeah, I guess it is written like that. Pelosi's daughter claims that Nancy performed an exorcism over her San Francisco mansion to banish evil spirits as her husband's hammer attack. Just, I don't know why it's wrote like that, but it is what it is. I thought this was really interesting. I think Edward sent me this article. I figured we would cover it because it's nice and humorous. So it says, former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, according to this article, held an exorcism in her San Francisco mansion in an attempt to banish evil spirits after her husband was allegedly attacked by a hammer-wielding intruder. The article states, "We doubt that this even happened. We'd like to know the exorcist who performed the exorcism so we can confirm." Now, I don't know necessarily that it's called an exorcist to perform exorcisms. I've ran into individuals who claim that they do that kind of stuff. But I think it's humorous that the article said that. They just full out stated, we doubt that this even happened. If you do know that this happened, please come confirm it with us, because this is just really out of pocket here. And I think that's really funny. But then it goes on to say, Pelosi argued conspiracy theories when it comes to her husband and the alleged attack that turned her home into a crime scene, resulting in the loss of her speakership. The article mentions that she stated, "The fact that they were after me and then hit him," Pelosi told New York Times. "He's a strong person, athletic. This has been tough, and it's going to be about 3 or 4 more months before he's really back to normal." Pelosi's daughter, documentary filmmaker Alexandra Pelosi, claimed that the scandal prompted her mother to perform an exorcism. The article says, according to the San Francisco Police Department, David DePape, I don't know what his name is, broke into Pelosi's home and was identified by police in the mansion at approximately 2:30 in the morning on October 28th. The intruder, we're going to say that because I can't say his name, reportedly entered Pelosi's home through a rear glass door and then entered the bedroom where Pelosi was sleeping. Paul Pelosi then reportedly attempted to use a phone located in the home elevator. I wish my home had an elevator. Not that I would use it, I would still use the stairs because I'm scared of elevators, but my guests would be able to use the elevator. Either way. As he was trying to use the phone in his own elevator, the intruder blocked him from making a call. That's what it says. It doesn't say how. with his waiter. Anyways, Paul Pelosi then resorted to escaping to the bathroom and called 911. According to the San Francisco attorney Brooke Jenkins, says the article, Pelosi arrived on the scene to find Paul and the intruder struggling over an assault hammer. Officers told them to drop the hammer. My goodness. The intruder, DePepe, is facing new felonies. A few felonies, pardon me. Being charged with attempted murder, residual burglary, assault with a deadly hammer, and elderly abuse. He's pled not guilty to all the charges. Only on Blue Team will someone break in your house and you don't shoot them. Only people who do not love or know their rights allow this to happen. You come in my house with a hammer, guess what? You ain't being charged with nothing. Don't you worry. You're not being charged with anything. You will have no problems anymore after you come through my door unannounced. I promise. So I thought that was really funny and that we should cover that for just a moment. Let's see what's next. I'm going to read through the chat really quick before we move forward. Kelly K. Hammer time gone bad. Those assault hammers. We really need to do something about that. I want to know, did he go through the proper channels to receive that assault hammer? Let's go find receipts. Where did the assault hammer come from? Who sold him that hammer? We should penalize that building, that store, and whoever operates it because they sold him the dangerous assault hammer. Maybe we need background checks for hammers. We need to pass more hammer laws because these criminals out here, doing bad things. Stupid people. Just reading through the chat. Red. Klaus just got angry. He doesn't have his own cam. I'm working on it. Thanks to Donna Sparks. She hooked me up with this awesome camera here. I just haven't figured out how to position my living room. One day I'll show you guys my setup. My whole living room is my broadcasting area because you guys are my only friends and you come over through the TV, so I don't have to provide a place for you to sit. So it's just tables and stuff. My entire living room, which is a workspace, looks like an office. I have 6 tables, 6 TV trays, 2 benches, and this chair in my living room. It literally looks like an office building in here. But I don't have to worry about it because no one but Klaus Daniels has to see it. Hey, I appreciate you common sense call out. Alright, so next we're going to be covering a video showing the Forrest Defender camp in Atlanta. Again, the Forrest Defender group, whatever. That's the Antifa group. This in Atlanta. That's what they're calling themselves, is Forrest Defenders and whatnot. So we're going to cover an article about, or we're actually going to watch a 14-minute video about that. This reporter, I skimmed through it a little bit. This reporter is like in the camp area and kind of explaining what all they're witnessing. It's about 14 minutes long. I don't know if we're going to watch the whole thing. We'll see how it goes, though. Let's drop some ones in the chat if you're ready to start the video. We're ready to go. Red, I have a home office set up. If I could ever make enough money to get into a house, that's what I want. I want to have like the dad office, like you get all your knickknacks and stuff in there. I want that so bad. I want a house more than anything, but one day I'll get it. So those student loans holding me back. My debt to income ratio is poor because I still owe $40,000 on my student loans that I am paying. I am paying on them. $200 a month, just so $15 actually goes to the principal. It's going to take a while before I knock that number down, but if I ever get into a house, I have big plans, especially for all the hooligans. Alright, I'm seeing ones in the chat. Let's get her started.
Desiree Berg reporting for Status Quo News. We are in Atlanta at the site of Cop City, which is in DeKalb County. It's a forest area that is going to be converted to a police training facility. So there's been a group of activists and forest defenders here the last few months trying to stop that facility from happening. Some background on the facility is that it's going to encompass 85 acres of land. This area was previously a prison farm, and before that it was some other things, including a plantation. So there's a history here. But the local constituents don't want Cop City to happen. There's environmental issues, including building a larger gun range that would cause poisoning for the South River. Obviously, they're more concerned also about
Mr. High Life, start banging that credit score. Takes time. Oh, my credit score is 780 right now.
Twice the size.
And it's not because of my skin color, okay? It's because I pay my bills.
So I'm going to walk you through right now the camp that was cleared out this week by law enforcement. A protester was killed, Tort is his name, by a state trooper a couple days ago. We have conflicting information as to what happened. They are claiming that an officer killed him in self-defense, but it seems that they have also released two different stories, one that he was in a tent, another that he wasn't. Activists think that it might have been a friendly fire where the state trooper was shot in the abdomen. He's currently in the hospital. So let's go ahead and take a look at the camp.
None of that made any kind of sense. Whether or not he was in a tent doesn't matter when it comes to him shooting at officers and them returning fire and being more accurate.
The bosses free the land. Over here on the right side is one of their old buildings that they had erected that's now been torn down by the police. You see an old kind of an Afghan-style blanket on the trees.
What's up, Chrissy? Thanks for being here.
And then over here, I wanted to point out some of the stickers. Stop police brutality, abolish power, grow freedom, no borders, an anti-fascist flag.
There you go. For all the people who are claiming Antifa is just an idea, the idea stuck the sticker on the pole. Good Lord. That was killing me yesterday on Twitter. I had to turn my phone off. I was getting mad.
Don't destroy Mother Earth, protect our future, defend the forest from colonizers, cops, protect indigenous lands. We have a tree here that says stay back. When the last tree has been cut down, last fish caught, the last river poisoned, last fish caught, last river poisoned, only then will we realize that one cannot eat money. Protect our future. So here outside of the Cop City encampment that has now been dismantled by the law enforcement, we had Torta, who is a tree defender, forest defender activist, was shot and killed by a Georgia state trooper this week. Here is a memorial for Torta, I'm guessing with some of his favorite things.
Is there meth there? Tortoise shell. Witchcraft. Okay. Were they praying to him? It almost looks more like an idol than a memorial.
Are you a good driver? Better than your...
Just a moment, hooligans. And I'm a good driver, by the way.
I also want to point out on the light sign here, it says Stop Cop City on one side, and they've now put up a flyer for Torta, who is the activist forest defender that was killed this week when he was shot by state troopers. Oh, man, you can just see where they've demolished things. This one says, with love, remove house, restore house. All right, so I want to go over here. There is some painted rocks that looks like they put together like a path almost. I'm not sure what was here previously.
I wonder where they're all at. I wonder if they went back to Minneapolis.
We have a heart that says BLM. All right, so here.
See? Isn't it weird that those two symbols are always next to each other? And people still believe that it's not related at all.
Abolish war, love life. Save the planet. wander well here at the fine. Be kind. Love is the answer. All right, Cop City will never be built.
I like how there's all that love stuff, but then they showed a tree, you know, drawing where he's holding a pistol, saying back off and stuff. They're also super violent, but no, it's all love and peace.
No
Yeah,
racism.
don't read that sticker. It's gross.
Anti-Semitism. Atlanta Solidarity Fund. All right, so we have more painted concrete slabs.
Who is manufacturing these stickers for these guys, and how can they afford it? It's, you know, I mean, it costs money. Let's put it like that. It costs money to have stickers.
And trash that was probably part of the camp. A lot of anti-fascist signage. So just some more background as we're walking towards the camp. You know, this was never done in the open with the constituency here in Atlanta. They had one meeting that was 17 hours long.
Soros, yeah.
Against building Cop City. So, you know, the city council voted 10-4 to approve it. But it seems that most constituents, not just the activists that were here on the ground, aren't okay with Cop City being built. But the politicians are ignoring it. So the reason that is, after talking to a handful of people, the reason that is because there's money involved. The Police Foundation has massive corporate sponsors, and the Police Foundation is funding $90 million of this. So their corporate sponsors include Wells Fargo, JP Morgan Chase, Waffle House, Delta, Home Depot, UPS, Amazon.
Forrest Defenders is self-defense, it said.
So that's $90 million on the table, and it's both parties. It's both the Democrats and the Republicans that are supporting this. The current mayor is actually a Democrat. The trees love you, love them back. I think this was definitely more probably camping that was done over here.
What's up, Impreza? Thanks for being here. Holy. I'm surprised we're getting hit with ads, kind of. This video is only like 55 minutes old since it's been posted, so maybe that's why we're getting hit like this. Just a moment.
Our woods, not Hollywood. Something in French, right? Save the trees. Stop Pig City. Land acknowledgement. Atlanta Forest is...
They were basically throwing themselves a music festival out in the woods. What's the point of writing all those signs and all that stuff if no one can see it? You're not raising awareness to anything. You're just sitting in an echo chamber smoking meth in the woods. Right. But yeah, call them activists, I guess. Whose woods?
Looks like this one.
Can't help myself, Hooligans. I just can't help myself. I'm gonna go get some. Get some coffee. Just give me a moment.
Yeah, this was cut in half. I don't know. We should point out that they already have a training facility here with a gun range. So there's already been some environmental pollution, but they want to expand that. And the concern is that lead and arsenic will get into the water, the South River, and poison the land. Something like 80 to 90% of the folks that live here are actually black folks. So it's definitely a form of environmental racism. All right, so we're going to keep going here because nobody's stopping.
Environmental racism. What did I walk away from?
Oh, I also wanted to mention, I thought this was an interesting tidbit. Andre Dickens, who is the current Democratic mayor of Atlanta, he had the CEO of the Police Foundation serving on his...
I was too quick, Hooligans, trying to burn my chat down.
Mayor Dickens and the Police Foundation in Atlanta. Yeah, 100%. All right, so this looks like this might have been part of a camp where some of the tree defenders were. For background now, there's been 13 now charged with domestic terrorism charges, which is a pretty hardcore charge for a protester exercising their First Amendment rights.
Well, that's okay, because we're going to play a little footage of these activist protesters.
No good cops, no bad dogs.
It's about time any of them even got charged with anything, let alone something that is accurate.
Where?
This trail?
Is that a trail?
Stay away from high grass for ticks.
It's starting to look like some Blair Witch stuff. You guys remember Blair Witch?
So we're now inside the forest. It looks like this is the remnants of one of the camps. Let's go check it out.
Hello there, young child.
Is anyone there?
Just spicing up this walk in the woods here. Oh no, it's fine. Go knock on the tent, right? There's peace and love and everything. They're just protesters expressing their First Amendment, freedom of speech, right? That's what you said. Just knock on the tent. It'll be okay. They're not smoking meth, having an orgy, or building firearms.
This was leftover a campsite, I think, for one of the tree defenders, or one of the forest defenders, pardon me.
Okay, I finally found
We're like just single-handedly paying this woman's bills and advertisement.
what boosts my metabolism.
Which is fine. She deserves it. We're reviewing her stuff, I suppose.
Walking through the forest where the Cop City site is going to be built if it's not stopped. It's a beautiful forest here. This is where the forest defenders have been camping the last few months. It's also where one of the activists was killed by a state trooper a few days ago.
Cool.
All right, so here we are at the tunnel that is called the South River Trail entrance. So I think we have more forest defenders that were down here. We see some graffiti on the trail entrance on the bridge here. Of activists.
I would not, proud ankle.
Their names on the wall. Maybe not. Could be unrelated, but
See, they don't know what it's like to have someone come spray paint and burn down all their stuff because they don't own anything. Because that's how communism works.
Cop City, I think. Long live Weelaunee, which is the name of the forest. R.I.P. Zabre.
Love you long time? Is that what it said? Thank you so much, Snooks, for gifting 10 memberships on YouTube. I appreciate you, Snooks. Thank you for everything you do.
Oh, here we go. Get this side. No forest, no...
Make sure you guys are thanking Snooks for those memberships. That stuff is not free.
With a bunny. Save the forest. So again, we are...
I've seen better graffiti.
Where Cop City is slated to be built if the activists are not successful in stopping that.
What's up, Serum? Are you here?
Movement that has pretty much been cleared out of the forest. The forest defenders have been cleared out. We lost an activist this week. Tort was killed by a...
Get the action angle.
It's been pretty much a decentralized movement. There's no real leadership. The campus where
So you say.
is going to be built is 85 acres of land here in the forest, so it's quite large. It's double the size of the LAPD training facility, just to give you an idea. And there's been very little buy-in from local constituency. It's not just the activists that have been here on the ground camping out inside the forest that are against it, but they had a meeting with 17 hours of constituencies giving testimony, and 70% of the comments were against building Cop City. So the question remains, why is it that the city council, the mayor, are going ahead with this and ignoring what their constituent wants? Well, a lot of folks are telling me that they think it's about money. The police foundation is supported by large corporations. corporations including Wells Fargo, Home Depot.
I don't know all this little semantics that they're going through right now. But 2 years ago, the problem was defund the police because they don't have enough training to do their job, and they're not going to, so we need to send in social workers for criminals. Now they're building a facility to train officers. No, they don't want that.
It's important to note is Democratic. They went for a Democratic mayor and also Biden in the last election. So it's definitely not just...
Happy Freedom WMM. What's up, mineral water? Alright, hooligans, so I'm going to show just a little bit of a video. This was kind of last minute. I didn't really put it in the, whatever you call the lineup for the day. I came across this last minute, but I just want to show a little footage where those activists were day before yesterday, I believe. So I believe this was Saturday night. Atlanta was having a giant party, but only Antifa was invited.
As a result of that, resulted in the death of a... Hey, can you guys hear us? State trooper was injured in a shooting.
Remember, guys, peace and love, right? That's what these guys were spray painting all over the trees and stuff.
That protesters were throwing bricks at what I believe to be the Atlanta Police Foundation. Oh, hey, turn around. Can we go back? Someone actually, it looks like one of the Atlanta police. Yeah, heard from a moment ago when we lost our service.
So this is Atlanta at night, like 2 days ago.
Obviously, we don't know if a vehicle.
That's right, Guardian. It's just an idea out there doing this.
Because the fire is getting.
It's a myth. The myth is out here burning down cop cars and stuff.
Here,
make sure you guys are racking those likes up. More likes, more hooligans.
Up in flames even more. The actual police officer was trying to put it out. We're at Andrew Young International and Peachtree Street.
Oh, and I kind of want to give you guys a heads up. If you think this is going to be like 2020, it's not. YouTube has put so many community guidelines that you're going to watch channels go down left and right for showing this stuff. If we're showing something like this live and I feel that it's too extreme, I will cut YouTube off. If you plan on watching this stuff live, go make an account on Odyssey, Rumble, or go to jeffmaclive.com. Because if things get spicy and I start getting strikes, I'm not going to show this stuff on YouTube. We have places that love free speech. I'm not going to sit here and keep pushing it with YouTube. They're commies. They hate me. They hate you. They hate the creators. They hate free speech. They hate free thinking. I'm not going to keep, messing with my income and my channel where I'm connected to all of you guys just to show something they don't want me to show. So if you guys expect to see this live, you better go make an account on places that love free speech, Rumble, Odyssey, or jeffmaclive.com.
And then they started at under.
That vehicle still up in flames here over at Andrew Young and Peachtree. And if you take a look over here, if you pan over, I want to show you. This is what they were handing out at that protest. So it was a largely.
Yeah, exactly, Red. This right here is exactly why I made the website. We have a place where we have a private community, and you can participate in a live chat like you're in right now. There is no one monitoring you. There is no one to tell you, that you can't say what you think and stuff like that. I've spent lots of money, lots of time, lots of hours building this to provide it for you. I'm not going to keep, sticking my neck out on YouTube. It's not worth it.
Basically clear out the forest after everything.
If you love free speech and stuff, you're not going to give me no slack about it. You're just going to go where free speech is loved. Anybody else, I'm not concerned.
The woods of activists camped out there protesting the site that they call Cop City. That's really what this was turning into.
I've seen lots of misinformation about this event. People were saying that they were hitting a bank, not the police department and stuff like that. They were also saying that this isn't Antifa, that this is somebody else. But like they just said, this is Forrest Defenders out here doing this.
We have video of that if we want to go to that real quick. If our producer in our control room can go to that, you'll see that they were throwing bricks at the windows.
Happy Freedom, Guardian. I'm going to play the game tonight. I told you guys I was going to do it over the weekend, and I didn't get a chance. I'll be playing the game tonight live on JeffMAC Gaming.
Seeing APD out here in force. I'm not sure if the protest has completely wrapped up yet. We have lost sight of them at this point. We were trying.
You didn't see the cops doing anything? They were there, but not doing anything. I swear, if I went downtown right now and threw a brick through a store window, if the police show up, they're not going to just stand there and watch me do it. They're going to tune me up.
Also having flares as well out here. Again, we're all watching this police car right now.
Thank you so much, Room 237, for the $10 donation. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for the support.
We're up overhead right now. Not sure if that is a police helicopter that's.
Oh, Korean's on? Okay.
Downtown Atlanta, but a lot for pretty much the entire time. We got here at about 4:30 this afternoon at Underground Atlanta.
All right, hooligans. You see what's going on. We don't need to go any farther. KJP just hopped on stage for the White House press briefing live. So we're going to switch over, watch that, laugh at her until she cries and runs out of the room. And then we'll keep moving forward, hooligans. Just give me a second. This has been live for like 3 or 4 minutes. We're barely behind being live. And I see Peter is there. I wonder if they're going to call on him, because the last 2 times he was there, they did not.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Prostitute.
Happy Monday. As many of you are tracking, this week House Republicans will vote.
She's got that Mary Poppins outfit on.
Families. The contrast in priorities could not be more stark. The president spent the last 2
Thank you so much, Alan Mackey, for the $10 donation. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
families, and prices are down about $1.60 a gallon since last summer. Now, House Republicans are using their narrow majority to force the American people to pay higher gas prices, just as big oil companies are amassing.
That's really crazy, Alan Mackey.
What's even more alarming is that
Lefties are so scared.
This is not the only attempt by House Republicans' majority to raise costs on middle-class families. House Republicans are also pushing a tax increase on middle-class families, an inflation-worsening tax cut for the rich, and high prescription drug costs as well. These extreme policies would subject working families to immense financial pain and balloon our deficit, all just to benefit the wealthiest taxpayers and big corporations. Joining me today, as you all see to my right, is Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm to talk about how the House Republicans' latest attempt to raise prices for American families will result in oil supply shortages and help Putin's war aims by interfering with our ability to release oil. Secretary Granholm, the floor is yours. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Karine. Appreciate it.
Prostitute.
Hello, everybody. Honored to be here again. As Karine said, President Biden really has been singularly focused on reducing costs for American families, especially energy costs, especially both transportation as well as at home, whether it's increasing the biofuel blends of gasoline to offering additional funds through weatherization for lowering costs for low and moderate income.
You might be able to speak more monotone, but I'm not quite sure.
Acted to shore up additional oil supply following the market disruptions that were the result of Vladimir Putin's invasion of Ukraine. Coordinating with allies and with partners through the International Energy Agency, he secured globally a collective release of 240 million barrels of oil from strategic petroleum reserves worldwide. As Karine said, the average price of a gallon of gas is now down about $1.60 from last summer's peak, about a 30% decline. And in fact, prices are lower today, gas prices are, than what they were at the start of Russia's invasion.
That's still not great.
Who have looked at this have credited the releases from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve for filling the supply gaps that were resulting from the invasion and the lessening of Russian oil on a global market, and have credited the SPR with lowering prices. Earlier in January, for example, the global head of energy analysis for the oil price information service said, and I'm quoting him, his name is Tom Kloza, "There is no question that SPR sales mitigated the price impact of crude last year." Yet, as Karine said, House Republicans are now pursuing this extreme agenda that risks worsening supply shortages in times of crisis and risks raising prices, gas prices, for American families. When you consider H.R. 21, which is a bill that they've introduced, it needlessly aims to weaken the Strategic Petroleum Reserve's usefulness as a tool to ensure energy security in America. The SPR, the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, gives us the means to increase supply when the market needs it most. And it gives us the tool to increase it quickly, quickly being the operative word. Speed is key. But H.R. 21 would impose unnecessary, unhelpful restrictions on when the SPR can be used to help provide supply. It would require these arbitrary reports regarding energy production on federal lands before waiving any new restrictions. It would not offer any tangible benefits to the American people. Instead, it would interfere with our ability to be responsive to release oil during an international emergency, helping Putin's war aims. It would potentially delay allowing oil to be released for domestic emergencies following a natural disaster or a pipeline outage at home, leaving, again, prices at risk of rising in the wake of a market shock because of emergencies due to extreme weather events. As I noted in the letter I sent to the Hill last week, be clear, there is nothing standing in the way of domestic oil and gas production. In fact, production is on track for a new record in 2023. From the beginning,
Then what's green energy for?
set out to use SPR as a bridge, boosting oil supply while the production ramped up. So production was down globally because of Russia's invasion and the pulling of Russian barrels off the market. He wanted to increase the Strategic Petroleum Reserve amounts to make a bridge while calling upon domestic oil and gas industry to increase production. And that is exactly what has happened. Today, the SPR remains the largest strategic petroleum reserve in the world. And with our plans to refill it at the lowest, at lower prices than what we sold at, the use of the SPR not only saved Americans money, but these releases will end up delivering a return for taxpayers. And so it's not a tool that we should be taken off the table. We are willing to work with Republicans and with Democrats alike to make our system, actually do it, more reliable and more resilient, and our country more energy independent and costs more affordable.
I was sharing out the live. I wasn't playing on Facebook or anything like that. Thank you so much, Andres, for that donation on PayPal. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for all the support.
Energy production. We believe there's room for bipartisanship to advance a managed transition. We believe that there is room for bipartisanship to expand our ability to create more affordable, reliable energy in America. But proposals like H.R. 21, which risks raising these gas prices and make it harder to offer Americans relief in the future, are simply non-starters. So I'll be very clear. If Congress were to pass H.R. 21, the president would veto it. He will not allow the American people to suffer because of the backwards agenda that House Republicans are advancing. So with that, I'm happy to take your questions.
She said the backdoor agenda.
Alex?
Thank you. Secretary, two questions, please. First on our exports of liquefied natural gas and the criticism that some environmental groups have surfaced regarding that and climate change. Can you address that? And number two, Texas is now, I think, poised or has already surpassed California in renewable energy production. What do you make of Republican states like Texas going in on green energy, and are there lessons to be learned from the way they're doing it as opposed to blue states?
Yeah, so first, with respect to LNG, we know that our liquefied natural gas exports have been a significant help to our allies. And it's very important to make sure that they have the means. We are fortunate in that we have an abundance, obviously, of natural gas in this country. Our prices are low. But during times of challenge, we want to help our allies as well. We want to make sure it's the cleanest natural gas, which is one of the reasons why the bipartisan infrastructure law really invested in carbon capture strategies and storage strategies. So that's an ongoing issue and an ongoing conversation we're having with industry, and that includes reducing methane as well. But with respect to Texas, what an opportunity for every state to be able to produce clean energy. And in fact, Political Story this morning suggested that there was an abundance of announcements coming out of red states. Great. That is fantastic.
What's up, Jeff with a G? I'm glad you were able to pick up a membership. A few hooligans have gifted memberships today. So it could be Red, it could be Snooks. Hopefully I'm not forgetting anybody. But yeah, that's where it came from. Appreciate you being here.
Helpful for jobs. And it's also helpful for us to be energy independent, which is exactly what the president would like to see. Homegrown, clean energy, independent, so that we are strong and resilient.
What sort of conversations with the Senate have you been having about H.R. 21?
Well, I think the Senate knows the position that we have with respect to it, and we'll see what the Senate does with it. But obviously, I think there's a lot of concern that anything that it hampers, I don't care whether it's a Democratic president or a Republican president, why would you hamper the ability of the country to be able to respond to emergencies and hamper the ability of us to be able to lower costs?
Thank you so much, Joey, for continuing the membership program for 14 months. You're officially a hooligan. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks, Madam Secretary. You mentioned the refilling or replenishment of the SPR. I know in January you guys, I think, kind of rejected offers that didn't feel like were adequate.
Johnny Bravo.
Process can delay, at least from the February perspective. What's your sense of how successful the process you guys have laid out will be given this first delay or insufficient offers? And do you have any concerns about the ability to get exactly what you need based on the floor and the plan that was laid out?
Yeah, I have no concerns that we will be able to refill and replenish the SPR and do it at a savings to taxpayers. And our goal was to start with the first.
Thank you so much, Sam, for gifting 5 memberships over on YouTube. I appreciate you. Thank you, Sam.
Received did not meet specification or price.
Make sure you guys are thanking Sam for those memberships. It's not free.
We're going to go back at that first 60. But we have a 3-part strategy, too. One is to accelerate some of the exchanges that were announced before to get those back in. And second was, in the omnibus bill at the end of last year, we canceled the sales of the congressionally mandated sales for 24 and 25, up through 27, actually. So there was a significant savings of having to send out oil. But we're going to continue to work on this. I think in the end, because of the way this has been managed, people will be pleased to see the savings to taxpayers.
Just real quick, could you tease a little bit of the statement that we're supposed to be staying tuned for?
Well, just stay tuned. It's going to happen very soon.
Thanks, Green. Thanks, Secretary Granholm. So gas prices are now up 33 cents over the past month. The president took credit for the prices coming down. The Strategic Petroleum Reserve, as you mentioned, is no longer releasing. Does the president get credit for the price of gas going up?
Well, it's obviously based upon international and climate events. So, for example, Winter Storm Elliott pulled 2 million barrels off the U.S. market because of refineries that went down. That crimp in supply causes prices to go up. What happens in China? Are they going to be opening up soon? Is there expectations regarding an increase in demand? That is something that happens on a global market. The whole point of this is that this Strategic Petroleum Reserve is a tool that we have, that we can control. We may not be able to control the weather. We may not be able to control what happens at OPEC Plus or in China, but we can control what we have access to. And that's why this tool is so incredibly important. We'll see what happens with respect to the price of gas. We know that there are still refineries that have been pulled down, both for maintenance as well as because of Winter Storm Elliott. But in the end, we think it'll be balancing out soon.
Good. Secretary Granholm, 2 questions. You're sounding the alarm about H.R. 21, but let's say it did pass in both the House and the Senate, and for whatever reason the President didn't veto it.
That's a big assumption.
I know it is, but as you're sounding the alarm, and we've seen some of the most, the highest gas prices we've ever seen in this country. If H.R. 21 were to pass and be signed into law by the President, what would it look like at the pump for the average American?
Prices would go up because we would have lost this tool.
But how high?
Well, it's hard to know because we don't know the circumstances around it. We don't know what would be the reason for actually exercising an additional action at the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. But know this, prices would go up because we don't have this tool. And again, it's always in response to an emergency like war or like, an extreme weather event. We do know that taking that tool off the table would harm the American family.
And lastly, the second question, when the President did release the strategic oil reserves and the million-day gallons came out, or barrels, whatever.
Million barrels a day.
Yeah, I forget the numbers. But in the midst of that, there were some communities that felt the relief. Other communities did not, particularly those in urban areas. There was price gouging, et cetera. Could you talk about that? Because we're still this could actually happen again at some point. And could you explain why there was such a difference in communities with gas prices in one community versus the other?
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely differences in terms of infrastructure across the country. And so some rural areas, for example, or some who might be at the very end of a line, or may not even have a line, that may get it trucked in, it takes longer and it's more expensive. If you're not near a refinery, that's another reason why the transportation costs are tacked on at the pump. So you're seeing, for example, when refineries go down in regions, then the prices go up in those regions much more than they would nationwide. So a lot of it depends on local infrastructure.
Urban areas, because there was still a big pinch in urban areas with these gas prices when the outlying communities, particularly majority white communities, were seeing the drop to $3, and many of these urban areas were seeing $4 and $5 gas prices. Could you speak to that?
Yeah, here's what I would say is that obviously gas station owners are often owned by individuals. Most of them are not part of the branded oil companies. Most of them are owned by individuals. And so if an individual is taking advantage in a region, that is something that for sure, I know I did when I was an attorney general, state attorney general should go after, because gouging is illegal. You cannot take advantage of a crisis to jack up prices.
Sorry, I had an important call.
We encourage local law enforcement to really get on it, because that should not be happen absent some other infrastructure lack that might cause prices to go up.
Okay, last question, Julia. Since you oversee the nation's nuclear arsenal, and it's 11 months now with the war in Ukraine, has anything changed in your management, maintenance, and so forth of the nuclear arsenal, given the potential concerns of war and some of the threats that have come from Russia?
That camera person's so rude.
We are singularly focused at the NNSA of making sure that we have a stockpile that is safe, secure, and effective. And so all of the modernization plans that are happening at the NNSA are pointed in that direction. So it is...
Garrett, yeah, Corinne's there.
Obviously.
This is guest speaker.
People should know that we have incredible relationship with the Department of Defense and incredible professionals who are experts at the NNSA we're focused on making sure that those three things, safe, secure, and effective, are the adjectives that we apply to the stockpile.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks
You
for
bet.
coming again. It's always good to have you. Thank you. Okay, just a couple of things and then we'll get going.
Prostitute.
Thank you, guys. As you saw last night, the President and the First Lady shared their condolences for those killed and injured in the deadly mass shooting in Monterey Park, which is in California, as you all know, this past weekend.
Oh, we could probably watch that. I forgot that happened.
Morning by his Homeland Security Advisor Liz Sherwood Randall, and directed her to ensure full federal support for local officials responding to the situation. She continued to provide him with updates throughout the day and evening. Our team continues to be in regular contact with law enforcement officials leading the response, and the President has been briefed today on the latest developments. As the President said last night, while there is still much we don't know about this attack, we do know how deeply it has impacted the AAPI community. Monterey Park is home to one of the largest AAPI communities in America, many of whom were celebrating the Lunar New Year along with loved ones and friends this past weekend. But instead of celebrating yesterday, many families in Monterey Park were grieving or praying that their loved ones.
If Old Man Walter and them went live yesterday, they took that video down because it's not up there.
Flags at the White House to half-staff to honor those who lost their lives this weekend. Now, turning on to another piece of news for all of you. As you all saw last week, the State Department launched the Welcome Corps, a new private sponsorship program that will create opportunities for Americans to directly sponsor refugees from around the world arriving through the U.S. Refugee Admissions Program. The Welcome Corps is the boldest innovation in U.S. refugee resettlement in 4 decades and will make a meaningful difference in the lives of refugees and Americans alike. The Welcome Corps program is designated to strengthen and expand our country's capacity to resettle refugees by harnessing the energy of private sponsors from all over the United States. Local communities have long been at the heart of America's resettlement program, and we have seen over the past year the overwhelming response of the American people to welcome our Afghan allies, Ukrainians displaced by war, and Venezuelans fleeing violence and oppression. The Welcome Corps builds on this enthusiasm by establishing a durable program for Americans to privately sponsor refugees from around the world. Groups of private sponsors will help refugees find housing and employment, enroll children in school, and connect with other essential services so they can thrive in their new home. The State Department is working with a consortium of nonprofit organizations with expertise in welcoming, resettling, and integrating refugees into U.S. communities to make this program a success. This Welcome Corps team will guide private sponsors through every step of sponsorship journey. Our goal for the program's first year is to mobilize at least 10,000 Americans to step forward as private sponsors and offer a welcoming hand to at least 5,000 refugees. I'm proud to share we're already off to a strong start thanks to the generosity and tremendous support of Americans across the country, nearly 250 diverse organizations representing every sector, national and community-based service organizations, veterans groups, and a wide diversity of faiths have already joined in expressing their support for the program. More than 100,000 people have visited the Welcome Corps website since its launch this past Thursday, and over 10,000 people have signed up for more information. And this week, Director of the Domestic Policy Council, Ambassador Susan Rice, and Principal Deputy National Security Advisor John Feiner will host a briefing with stakeholders to discuss the Welcome Corps. President Biden made a commitment to rebuild, enhance, and expand the U.S. Refugee Admissions Program, and the Welcome Corps is one of the many ways in which we are doing this. We encourage anyone who is indeed interested in sponsoring refugees to visit welcomecorps.org to learn more about the program. Finally, we have a preview for some new travel on the President's schedule for next week. Next Monday, the president will travel to Baltimore, Maryland, and next Tuesday, he will travel to New York City to discuss how his economic plan, including his success bringing Republicans, Independents, and Democrats together to pass the bipartisan infrastructure law, is strengthening America's economic competitiveness, creating good-paying jobs, and proving that we can still do big things when we all work together. In Baltimore, the president will discuss how bipartisan infrastructure law funding will replace the 150-year-old Baltimore and Potomac Tunnel, as many of you have probably experienced and gone through during your outing in your cars, to address the largest bottleneck for commuters on the Northeast Corridor between Washington, D.C. and New Jersey. In New York City, the president will discuss how bipartisan infrastructure law funding for the Hudson River Tunnel project will improve reliability for the 200,000 passengers trips per day on Amtrak and New Jersey Transit. Both projects will create good-paying jobs, including union jobs, lower commuting times, and enhanced safety. These two critical, important projects funded by the president's bipartisan infrastructure law, much like the Brent Spence Bridge project connecting Ohio and Kentucky that the president visited just a few weeks ago alongside Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, along with thousands of other projects across the country, will make life better for people in communities nationwide. During both visits, the president will also discuss how his economic plan to build an economy from the bottom up and the middle out is leading to billions of dollars in private sector investments in Maryland, New York, and across the country. With that, Zeke, you want to kick us off?
Thanks, the president and the vice president have any plans to visit the community of Monterey Park around this weekend?
No, it's a good question. Don't have anything to share at this time on any travel to California, specifically Monterey Park at this time. But if that changes, certainly we will share that with all of you.
And then over the weekend, there was a reporting that Ron Klain will be stepping down as chief of staff, being replaced by Jeff Zients. Can you confirm that, and when will that change or will be effective?
What about Antifa burning Atlanta down a couple days ago? Are we going to ask questions about that or not?
A lot of questions today on this particular story. Don't have anything to preview or share or announce at this time. I do want to take just a personal point of personal privilege, as when the president was senator would say. Look, Ron has been an incredible boss. He is someone that I've enjoyed working with every day. And many of us, and I think all of us here, are part of the Claniacs. If you don't know, I would suggest you go on Twitter and find out what the Claniacs are. But he has been an incredible leader, an incredible boss, as I just stated. And we credit the president, as we should, for the impressive legislative successes, historic successes that the president has had the first 2 years. But in part, it was because of Ron's leadership, incredible leadership, that we were able to get that done. So again, don't have anything to share with you all today on this front, but again, Ron has been an incredible leader these past 2 years.
Just an out of context praise for Ron. And then I'll let my colleagues follow up on that one. And then finally,
feel free.
On the,
I'm sure they won't be shy to follow up.
On the FBI search of the president's home on Friday, the president, when the initial batch of documents were reported a couple of weeks ago, said he was surprised that they were classified documents found at the Penn Biden Center. Was he surprised that there was classified material found at his home on Friday, as well as the prior discovery at his house a few weeks ago?
So, look, again, there's going to be a lot of questions on this. I know my colleagues from the White House counsel's office has been pretty diligent on taking questions these last couple of days. There's going to be a call in less than an hour or so from my White House counsel office. And look, they're going to answer the questions from here. Any specifics to the Department of Justice, any specifics to this particular legal matter, I would refer you to the Department of Justice. I'm going to continue to be prudent from here. I'm going to continue to be consistent and make sure that those questions go to my colleagues in the White House counsel's office.
Another question on the documents. You have said, though, from this podium many, many times over the last 2 weeks that this president takes the handling of classified material very seriously. And yet we continue to learn about more documents being found and discovered at his home, including now some that go back decades to his time in the Senate. So why should the American people believe that this president takes classified material seriously and the handling of it?
Look, the American people heard from the president directly on this when he was asked by your colleagues at least twice now about how he sees this process. And he was very clear with the response of what we're currently seeing. And he says, I take this very seriously. He said, I didn't know that the documents were there. And look, I think as it relates to the American people and the president standing with the American people, it is going to be up to them to decide how they see this president. Look, this is a president that came into office, 9 million people had lost their jobs. The unemployment rate was 6.3%, and hundreds of thousands of small businesses had closed their doors. And in the past 2 years, we've created nearly 11 million jobs. The unemployment rate is at a record low at 50-year record low. In the last 2 years were the best years for small businesses applications on record. We talked about that last week, just from here. The president has built the most significant legislative record since LBJ. Let's not forget, there's a CHIPS and Science Act, the bipartisan infrastructure legislation. I just walked through what he's going to see next week when he's traveling to Baltimore and also New York City. The Inflation Reduction Act, which is going to deal with lowering costs. So the president...
When's he going to do that?
In office for the last 2 years, focusing on the American people. And, you know, we saw that. We saw what the American people had to say during the midterms. As it relates, again, as it relates to this, as it relates to this ongoing legal matter, I would refer you to my colleagues at the White House Counsel. Again, they're going to be speaking with all of you in just less than an hour or so.
But I want to ask one more time, because you have been the one messaging that he takes this seriously. You have also been saying over and over again that you are cooperating fully with this investigation.
That hasn't changed, Mary.
But given that, why then did it take several searches and the FBI coming in to uncover the full extent of the documents at his house?
I understand your question. I've said many times, the president has said many times, he takes this very seriously. You've heard directly from him. You just said that his team is cooperating fully. And just want to add, you know, and you heard from his team that the FBI was invited into the president's home. I'm not going to go beyond that. That was in the...
It wasn't a raid. They were invited.
Again, these are questions that have been answered to our, you know, that have been answered from here. That has been answered for my colleagues. Anything else? My colleague's going to speak to all of you in just a few minutes, a few moments, and you can ask more detailed questions.
One thing you just said. You just said the president said that he did not know the documents were there. I'm not actually sure he has said that clearly. Are you saying the president did not know?
Well, he said he was surprised. He said he was surprised.
Any of the documents?
He said he was surprised. I'm just going to leave it there, and I'm going to refer you to the White House Counsel's office. I'm just repeating what he said, and he said...
What you just said. You said he did not know the documents were there.
He said he was surprised that the documents were there. He said that, and that he takes this very seriously. That's what I want to make sure that the American people understand. And I just refer...
American people might question that, given that you keep every few days it seems we are finding that more documents have been found at his house.
Call her out.
What I'm telling you is what the president has said, which is he takes...
We know what he said.
I will refer you to detailed explanations from statements that have come from his...
I'd only make it one day there. They would never let me come back.
My colleague is going to be taking your questions, Mary. In the 4 o'clock hour, I would refer you to them. Okay.
Has Ron Klain told the president that he's leaving, planning to leave?
Don't have anything further to share. And just to be very clear, Ron Klain is still very much the chief of staff. He is still here with us. Just don't have anything to share.
Does the president think Jeff Zients would be a good chief of staff?
Steve Holland, do you want to be chief of staff? I think I hear a name. Someone just called you out as potential chief of staff material.
This popped up on Friday. When will Speaker McCarthy visit President Biden?
So don't have a meeting to share at this with all of you at this time. The president is looking forward.
Sergeant Tripod Peter's there. He's there today
to talk about an array of issues and this is normal, right? During a new Congress, it is normal for the president to sit down with the speaker to talk about how they can work together. You heard the president say this right after the midterms, how he wants to work in a bipartisan way with members of Congress to continue to deliver.
Rack up those likes, hooligans. More likes, more hooligans.
In good faith. He wants to do this in good faith. So once there's a meeting locked in, we certainly will share that that with all of you. Go ahead, Phil.
Thanks, Corinne. On the debt limit, Senator Manchin today called the White House position under negotiations, quote, not responsible. Yesterday, I think he called it a mistake. I understand what your position is. Is there any concern that Democrats not siding with that position could undercut the effort you guys are trying to put into place over the next 4 months?
So just let me, look, lowering the deficit has always been a top priority for this president. As you know, he's lowered the deficit in record fashion at $1.7 trillion under his presidency. And he has said, he's always said, he is happy to talk to anyone who wants to deal with that in a responsible way. But preventing default is a separate matter. That is a separate matter within itself. It is a basic responsibility for Congress. We've said this over and over and again, and I'll continue to say this, and it's a responsibility that Congress has to the American people. And so it must be done without conditions, even as they've pushed for tax giveaways to the rich. Republicans want to cut Social Security. They want to cut Medicare and other critical programs. And let's not forget, these critical programs have already been paid into. These are programs for veterans, for seniors, and taxpayers. This is what they're talking about taking away from these really critical programs for critical groups here. So President Biden will never allow Republicans to cut benefits that our hardworking Americans have earned. This is what they have earned. So, but I'll also note, as it relates to Senator Manchin and to your question, Phil, he agreed on the need to protect Social Security. He agreed on the need to protect Medicare and called on Republicans to take cuts to those programs off. This is, quote, off the board right now. And so just want to make that very, very clear as well.
Are you actively asking Democrats not to break ranks on this issue?
We've been very clear. I mean, look, we've been very public about this. You guys have all covered what we have said from here about how we see this process moving forward. It should be done without conditions. This is something that has been done 78 times when we were talking about lifting the debt ceiling in the past, since 1960. I believe this is not unusual. It was done 3 times in the past administration under Donald Trump. So this is nothing unusual. This is something that should be done without conditions, and we should not be taking hostage key programs that the American really
every day she's talking about hostages. Every day, it's on top of her mind.
Put into a hostage situation. And again, the president's going to continue to fight for those programs, and we're going to be very clear about how we see how Congress should move forward. Okay.
Thanks, Corinne. The president said last week that he has no regrets when it comes to the handling of classified documents. Why doesn't he have regrets, given that classified documents keep turning up?
I talked about this last week. I'm not going to go beyond what the president said. Again, I would refer you to the White House counsel for anything further on this legal matter.
Thanks for being here, Annette.
This yesterday, I'm just not last week. Pardon me, last Friday. I'm just not going to go beyond what the president.
That's not a legal question. It's about his statement from last week.
I understand, and I said I'm not going to go beyond what the president said, and I think it speaks for itself. I'm not going to.
You're just trash at your job, KJP. That's what it is. You're just trash.
He said it to all of you when he was out I believe in California, when he answered one of your colleagues' question, or when he addressed.
Bobby, no regrets. He had no regrets.
But going back to what Mary was asking, when the president says that he takes classified material and the handling of it very seriously, this weekend, top Senate Democrats who have known him for decades described this situation as unacceptable and completely irresponsible. What's the disconnect here?
They also said, if I may add, that the president is handling this in the appropriate fashion, that the president and his team has been completely complying completely with the investigation. They also said that. And so I will leave it up to their comments up to them. I'm not going to go beyond what they have said, but they also said that piece too, and I think it's important to note that they believe that the president has handled this properly as well.
Who's paying the president's private attorney on this matter?
I mean, it's his private attorney. So I would leave it. I would just say it's his private attorney. Any questions, anything in particular to this, I would ask the White House counsel office.
We've asked his private attorney at least 4 times, and they haven't given us an answer. Don't we deserve to know whether he's paying for it or
I hear you. No, I totally understand, Nancy. My colleague is going to be speaking to you momentarily. You can ask that question.
She totally understands. She's just not willing to provide actual information.
On Friday, when we were here, you were asked about the president going to Rehoboth and if that had anything to do with searches, and you declined.
Look at Peter.
Did you know Friday there was a search going on at the president's home?
So I'll say this, and I think I said this on Friday as well. They go to Delaware almost every weekend. We put out guidance last Monday, as you know, Monday night, that they would be spending the weekend in Rehoboth. So it was indeed pre-planned. So just want to put that out there. And I'll just, mention what was said in the statement just on Saturday, which is the DOJ requested that the search not be made public in advance, in line with its standard procedures. And we did adhere to that. As you could understand, that is something that we are going to take very seriously. And it was, again, a request.
Kev Chat, is the private attorney allowed to handle documents marked as classified? That's a really good question. Thank you so much, Red, for gifting 10 memberships over on YouTube. I appreciate you, Red. Thank you so much.
Given the fact that classified documents and their handling have been an issue, has the White House counsel put out any guidance to staff members here who have the opportunity to interact with classified materials to just reaffirm how that should be done? Or has there been any follow-up on proper procedures for staffers? Not the president, not this circumstance.
Yeah. No, I understand the question. Again, you're going to have an opportunity to ask that very question to the White House.
Yeah, definitely, Nay. The Hooligans are the best.
What's their next steps as it relates to staff? That's something that's better for them to answer, and they'll be speaking to all of you momentarily.
Look at her face. She was just locking eyes with Peter. Now she's just, all the wind is taken out of her sail.
Sweden's bid to join NATO. Obviously, the U.S. supports that.
I'm gonna grab some more coffee. 4 cups will do me, I think.
So just a couple of things that I want to make sure. I want to echo the comments of the Swedish Prime Minister, who said burning books that are holy to many is a deeply respectful act, and what is legal is not necessarily appropriate. As we have said before, Finland and Sweden are ready to be NATO allies. Both are members of NATO's Partnership for Peace and NATO's Enhanced Opportunities Partnership. Their militaries work seamlessly with alliance forces. Finland and Sweden have already taken concrete steps, to fulfill the commitments they made under the trilateral memorandum of agreement with Turkey, signed on the margins of the NATO summit in Madrid, including substantially strengthening their bilateral cooperation with Turkey on key security concerns. We continue to expect that NATO will formally welcome Finland and Sweden.
Sly dog. Let's see the pictures of the document folders like they did with Trump. Exactly. Instead of saying you invited the FBI in, why don't you go ahead and say they raided the house, just like they did with Trump? Just because you answered the door doesn't mean you invited them in, especially if they're handing you a warrant.
Their membership just weeks after their...
Not a warrant. Well, could be.
Did you mean disrespectful or respectful?
Disrespectful act. Thank you for the clarity. Deeply disrespectful act.
I just one more question. There's a proposal right now in Congress to tie the debt limit to GDP. Would the White House entertain anything along those lines?
So it's basically...
I appreciate you being here, Gerald.
When it comes to dealing with the deficit, it's something that the president has made his top priority. As I mentioned earlier, 1.7 trillion was the record, the record that the president was able to lower the deficit under his administration. Any ideas, he takes any ideas that come to him in a responsible way. He's happy to listen. But again, this is a separate matter. When you're thinking about preventing default, is a separate matter. And so he believes it should not be done. It should be done, without conditions, and it should be done in a bipartisan way, as it's been done many times before. I mentioned the number 78. That's been done 78 times since 1960, 3 times under the last president. Again, it should be done without conditions, and that's where we stand on that.
As a follow-up to the question about Turkey, have you all spoken with Turkey since they expressed this public outrage?
I don't have a conversation to read out to you at this time. I know that we've been asked if we see them as reliable partners. I was asked this last week, and my answer to that was yes.
I want to ask you a follow-up actually about this new members reception that is coming up. Do you have any guidance on how many new members the president intends to have? And a follow-up to that, actually.
Yes, no, it's a good question. Don't have any numbers to confirm with you at this time. Again, I would have to go back to the Office of Ledger Affairs. As you know, that process is run through them. Don't have a number to share at this time on who has confirmed to attend.
And is George Santos invited?
Again, I love how everybody laughed at that. Well, look, as you
Everybody's on the same page now. KJP, you suck.
for the new member, the new Congress, so everyone is invited who is part of the new Congress. I just don't have a confirmation on who is attending at this time. But I understand the question, just don't have that. Go ahead.
All right, I hope you have an answer for this one. On the debt ceiling crisis, there's so many different agencies and different.
Will it have to do with skin color this time?
This is we're watching this once again mass shooting. Are there programs right now that are in jeopardy because of the debt ceiling that are targeted on gun violence, mass shootings, targeted on trying to fix this gun crisis in the nation?
Nope, not this time.
First question, one of the things that we have called out is Republicans threatening to default, to force cuts on Social Security, to force cuts on Medicare, and that is indeed programs that could be at risk, which is why we continue to call this out, which is why we have said we should not be using this as a political football, which is why we have said that since 1960, 78 times, this has been done in a bipartisan way. And it is the basic responsibility of Congress to deal with this issue because there are programs that are incredibly important to the American people that would be in jeopardy if this is allowed. There's a couple of validators that I just want to...
like Robert said, it's mental illness crisis, not gun crisis.
Financial markets and the economy will crater. Larry Summers, former Treasury Secretary...
People are being pushed to the brink of losing their marbles, and then they go and do something in a manic state after being pushed over the edge, and then they're like, we need to ban guns. Nah, we need to fix the way we're living here. We need to demystify and stop blurring lines of reality. That's a pretty good first step, I think.
Follow up to this.
Stop changing definitions.
Efforts afoot in this White House, up and down Pennsylvania Avenue, to safeguard if there is this crisis that continues to loom. For instance,
you see that girl's rapper chain?
Social Security checks, not just Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, and military checks and other items. Are you guys working on any kind of process to be a safety net so that the military can get paid, so that these checks can come out in the midst of this crisis as you're fighting about raising the debt limit? That is constitutional.
So look, it's a very good question, and you're right. Veterans, seniors, our taxpayers. This is if Republicans go down this road, they will be the ones who are hurting here. We're going to continue to do what you've been seeing us do and hearing us from myself, from this president, which is call this out and say very clearly that Congress should get this done without conditions. And that's what you're going to continue to hear from us.
Are there any meetings, any conversations about Plan B, Plan C, Plan D, if this does go into that moment where checks are
I hear your question. I'm saying there shouldn't be a Plan A, Plan B, Plan C.
Yeah, I got you, Chrissy.
It should be done without conditions. We should not be negotiating around this. This is, again, the last president under the Trump administration was done 3 times.
They'd rather say whose fault is what than actually do something to fix the country.
About this, we're going to be very clear and continue to have conversation with Congress. We are talking to Congress. I talked about this last week, how the Office of Ledger Affairs has been doing outreach to new members of Congress in particular to let them know who is their point of contact, what conversations, opening up for conversations on things that are important to them. And so we are having those conversations, and we'll continue to engage with Congress. But again, this should be done without conditions. 78 times that Congress has been able to do this, and it is their basic responsibility.
Great.
Let's see. My gosh.
She's like, come on, anyone but Peter.
Tomorrow, Democratic congressional leaders will be coming to the White House. What does the president hope to achieve, and will the debt ceiling be one of the agenda items discussed?
Look, a range of issues, as you know.
Not an in sight.
There's always a long agenda of items that
KJP had to make up for her.
talk about. Not going to get ahead of what the conversation is going to be or what's going to be actually discussed. But the president has said very clearly. He said very clearly when it comes to this new Congress.
They're just falling out of her face, just bursting out.
He wants to do this in a bipartisan way. He wants to build on the successes that we have seen the last 2 years. That has not changed, and that's working with Democrats. That is
as well.
Well, we've already mentioned that this is going to be part of a series of meetings that will be happening. We've talked about the president looking forward to meeting with Speaker McCarthy. So we've already said that. This is just one of the first of series of meetings. But look, again, the president right after a historic midterm elections for a Democratic president in 60 years. When you look at how the Senate turned out, when you look at that there wasn't an actual red wave that was being reported on, that he wants to do this and continue moving forward in a bipartisan way. That's what the American people wants us to do. And so that's always going to be how the president's going to lead into these conversations.
And on the energy bill, Secretary Granholm outlined that she doesn't want the U.S.'s ability to draw down these strategic oil reserves to be hampered in a time of future crisis. But would the administration support a minimum threshold of oil to keep in those reserves for national security purposes?
Look, I'm not going to get into any policy decisions that the Department of Energy is going to be making. You heard directly from the Energy Secretary from right here at the podium moments ago. I'm just not going to get ahead of any potential policy making. Okay, Andrew.
Thanks. The president's scheduled to go to Camp David this weekend. Just to clarify, should we read anything into that? And does he have full access to his homes right now in both Wilmington and Rehoboth?
I would refer you to the White House counsel's office.
Just really quick, I know you can't say much about the chief of staff, but can you say whether any women or people of color were considered for his next chief of staff?
Again, we don't have an announcement. We have not made an announcement. I understand you're asking me about a process. We haven't made an announcement,
An announcement
at this time.
Thank you so much, Karine. A follow-up on this story on the New York Times this weekend about Russia's agent could be directing far-right groups to mail bombs in Spain. Is the White House concerned that Russia could carry out terrorist attacks in European countries that are supporting Ukraine?
As you're asking about the letter bombs that has been reported on, look, I'm not going to get into intelligence matters or any ongoing investigation, but there are a couple of general points that I would like to make. First, we take extraordinarily seriously the safety and security of our
pumpkin. She needs to do the chicken bacon. She does.
Madrid. That means we're doing everything possible to work.
I think I'm gonna make some chicken bacon shirts.
What happened here and prevent similar threats in the future. Second, we've offered the Spanish full cooperation and support in their ongoing investigations, and they know the importance to us of this matter, and importance they of course share. Obviously, the Spanish are good partners, and we're appreciative for the seriousness which they are taking this and responding to it. Again, not going to go into any more details on when it comes to an intelligence matter.
Another question about Brazil. The attacks in Brazil is linked to also far-right groups here in the United States. Members of Congress here are already asking the administration to share information on either some of the planning were actually taking place here. Is the administration sharing information with the Brazilian authorities about that, and is concerned that the attacks originating here, and what could be done to counter that from these kind of attacks being planned here, either in Brazil and other countries?
I totally understand the question. Want to be very mindful on any intelligence matters. I would, and I don't want to comment on diplomatic discussions here. So just going to leave it there.
Just one more about that. Is that
sitting here struggling to open a pack of sticky notes?
Imposing sanctions on individuals or corporations involved in the January 8 attacks in Brazil?
Again, don't have anything to share on sanctions. Totally understand your question, but don't have anything to share on that piece at this time. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you so much. I have some Africa questions today. First of all, how does the White House feel about the Russian foreign minister being in Pretoria, being warmly welcomed and preparing to host naval drills with South Africa together with China?
So, we have, the United States has concerns about any country, as we've said before, country exercising with Russia.
Yep, we're always concerned what everybody else is doing.
We've said this before. We've been consistent on this. Of course, every participating country will make their own decision. But again, we have said this before. We do have concerns.
Express this to Pretoria? Or?
I don't have any conversations to read out, but we've been very, very consistent as it relates to this.
Other Russian involvement on the continent. On Friday's announcement that Wagner has a new designation as a terrorist group, I believe. What are the consequences for African governments that work with them? Mozambique, Mali, so on and so forth. Is that going to affect the amount of cooperation between the U.S. and those countries? And is that something maybe that Secretary Yellen might be talking about with those leaders during this time?
I will leave any conversation that Secretary Yellen is having with leaders or has had with leaders to her to speak to it and to her office to speak to. Look, we've been very clear about our concerns, especially as Russia, as we have said many times, is doing this brutal war against Ukraine, but I'm not going to go beyond that. Go ahead. I'll come down.
Yeah, thanks, Karine. On the economy, so more companies are announcing layoffs. We're seeing retail sales drop off for 2 months in a row now, and inflation is back to 40-year highs. Is this the stable growth that you've been talking about? And if not, when does that stable growth get here?
Look, we've been very, very clear, and when you think about the inflation, it has been, you look at the CPI data that came out recently, PPI data that came out recently, we have seen that inflation has been going down for the past 6 months. And that is because of the work that this president has been doing since he walked into the administration, focusing on crises, right? Focusing on COVID and making sure that there was a comprehensive way to deal with COVID and making sure people got shots in arms, making sure that the American Rescue Plan was passed, that was only voted by Democrats in Congress. And those action that he has taken has helped deal with the economy, has helped actually create 11 million jobs, has made sure that manufacturing jobs, 750,000 manufacturing jobs have been created here. Look, we are still seeing transition to a stable and steady growth. That is what we are seeing when we look at the data. Look, yes, there are layoffs that you're asking me about, and we've previously said on the broader economy, layoffs remain near record lows according to job opening data. So we're looking at the data, and this is what the data has been telling us. And also, let's not forget, unemployment is down by is the lowest that we have seen it in 50 years. And so again, this is an economic policy, an economic plan that is working, and a lot of it is because the president has taken bold steps.
When can Americans see that stable growth you're talking about?
Well, I think you look at this, again, I pointed to the CPI data, I pointed to the PPI data, where we have seen inflation coming down. Let's not forget the Inflation Reduction Act, where it's going to be implemented in the next couple of months, where we're going to see Americans actually feel some relief when it comes to prescription.
I love when they tell us what Americans feel. Like that's some people elsewhere that we don't get to see unless Karine gets on stage and tells us how they're doing.
Very seriously, has an economic plan that's going to help Americans build the economy from the bottom up, middle out, and that's going to continue to be his focus. Look, what we have been saying is we want to work with Republicans, Democrats, and Independents to continue on the successes that we have seen in the last 2 years, continue on the historic legislation, implementing those legislation, and that's what you're going to see from this president. Go ahead, Peter.
Thank you, Karine. When you found out that the FBI had located even more classified materials in Wilmington, which four-letter word did you use?
Oh my goodness, Peter.
Yeah, laugh it off. Your brain don't function. That's okay.
President Biden is still intending to run for re-election in 2024, right?
I'll just repeat what the president said after the midterm election, which is he intends to run. I'm going to be very careful from here, as you know, because we are covered by the Hatch Act, and I'm not going to speak further to his process.
Well, that's good. He definitely couldn't ride a bike there.
After FBI agents searched their sock drawer,
Say that one more time. Say that beginning part.
Is there a precedent for people running for president after FBI
It sounds like
agents?
It sounds like you already know that the answer to that question. Look, here's what
I don't know the answer to that.
Oh, so you're just going to interrupt the questions?
President's residence is a big deal.
Here's what the president's going to focus on. He's going to focus on continuing to deliver for the American people. That's his focus. That's what he focuses on every day. That's what he's been focusing on the last 2 years. And nothing is going to change that. You think about the bipartisan infrastructure legislation, you think about the Inflation Reduction Act, you think about the CHIPS and Science Act, the bipartisan one, the last two that I mentioned, done in a bipartisan way. That's what the president wants to do. He wants to continue to deliver on his economic plan that is going to build the economy from the bottom up, middle out. That is what matters to the president.
The House Oversight Committee chairman says this document situation has all the makings of a potential cover-up. Is President Biden involved in a cover-up?
We have been very clear here from this administration. The president has been very clear that he takes this very seriously when it comes to classified information, when it comes to classified documents.
Why are you speaking so quietly?
Has been fully cooperative.
Falling apart.
With this legal matter. Anything else, Peter? And I'm going to be very serious. You asked me kind of a question that everybody laughed at, which was interesting question to ask. But
so offended.
Any other underlying questions that you may have, I would refer you to my colleagues, the White House counsel. I'm going to continue to be prudent. I'm going to continue to be consistent and refer you to any questions you have there.
So she's not going to take his questions anymore. Is that what she just said? Because that's kind of sounded like what she said.
Submit his budget to Congress. The deadline is the first Monday.
Mad. Super mad.
Today. So when does he plan to submit that budget, and will we do it before that deadline?
Joey, it's a good question. When we have more to share about that budget process, certainly we will have that to share with you. The OMB is something that the OMB is working, an issue that the OMB director is working very hard on and very closely on. Once we have more to share, we certainly will lay that out for you. Go ahead, Karen.
Has the president invited the Justice Department to search his home in Rehoboth, Delaware?
I would refer you to the White House counsel's office, who will be speaking with all of you.
Just have them come out next time. You don't know anything.
Well, in response to my question, you told me the search is complete. He, the president, is confident in this process. But since then, the searches have continued. More documents have found. Is the president still confident in this process and how his lawyers have carried out the search for material in his residences?
He's confident in this process. And my colleague has talked about this. This is an ongoing process. And, we've continued to provide the information that we've had at the time. Anything else, specific underlying issues on this or questions that you may have, I would refer you to the White House counsel's office.
And a non-process question then. We had a poll with Ipsos, ABC News Ipsos, that was taken before the most recent items were discovered that found that 64% of Americans believe the president acted inappropriately in the way he handled classified files. How worried is the White House that this issue is hurting the president's trustworthiness in the eyes of Americans?
Look, our focus is going to continue, basically what I've said to your colleagues, on delivering for the American people. That's going to be our focus. That's what the president's going to do every day in and out, which is what can we do to make the lives of Americans a little bit better. And that's what he has done. And I've laid out the historic pieces of legislation that the president was able to do, some of them in a bipartisan way. And many of the pieces of legislation that have passed by his economic policy plan has changed the lives and will change the lives of millions of Americans across the country. That's going to be our focus. I'm not going to go into, a rabbit hole or go into details or thoughts about polls. That's not what I'm going to do from here. What we're going to do is talk to all of you every day about what our message is to the American people.
Yeah, and your message is to go ask someone else these questions.
And talk about our policies. Talk about what the president is doing again, every day with the Vice President, with his team, to make sure that we deal with issues that truly, truly matter to the American people. Just yesterday, you heard from the Vice President in Tallahassee, who talked about an issue that mattered to the American people. We saw that, right, coming out of the midterms, which is making sure that women's rights were being protected. When you think about Roe, yesterday it would have been 50 years of Roe, which was a constitutional right for Americans. And so that's what Americans want to continue to see us do, fight for their rights, continue to deliver.
It was not a constitutional right. I wish they would stop saying that. What do you mean they redacted it from the Constitution? Is that what happened? No, that's not what happened, because that's never happened, you idiot. Jeez, I hate them saying that. This just lies. Like talking about the insurrection that was proven it wasn't an insurrection twice. Like, just, ugh.
Without commenting on the ongoing legal issue, what would you point us to that would demonstrate that seriousness?
I'm going to really refer you to the White House counsel's office. I am. I'm going. I am.
So the president continues to say that he takes it seriously, and you can't demonstrate how he takes it
hold
seriously.
on. Let me just finish. Let me finish my answer. I'm gonna refer you to the White House counsel's office, and I'm gonna
call her out
to the statements that you've received from his personal lawyer. I'm going to refer you to the 45 minutes of conversation, of back and forth that my colleague has had with all of you last week. He's about to do another one where you can ask questions about this particular legal matter. Again, that's where this belongs. That's where I'm going to refer you to. But again, you've seen the statements. You've heard from the president a couple of times. You've heard from his personal lawyer. You've heard from the White House counsel's office. And that's where I'm going to leave it.
On a different topic, the House has passed bipartisan legislation that would ban the export of oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve to Chinese companies. Given that oil has flowed to China from that reserve during both this administration and the previous one, is that the type of reform that the president would potentially support?
So look, I think this is a little bit of what the Secretary was talking about just moments ago. This bill addresses a non-issue. We're very clear on that.
What's up, John Costello? Happy freedom. No, I don't think she believes anything comes out of her mouth. I think she's made. I think she gets to go home, doesn't have to worry about laws or restrictions or censorship. I think she's made. She's not concerned with anything and probably doesn't require to be, believing anything.
Give more of a detailed timeline. I know you're referring us to the counsel's office, but I'm wondering if we will hear more fully from the president himself on this matter.
Look, as you just stated in your question to me, the president has addressed this, spoken to.
Look at her, just done. She's having a hard day.
Right now, but he's going to continue again to take questions from all of you as he has done these past several months, these 2 years, and he's going to take these questions as he understands on behalf of the American people as you guys ask questions and do your reporting. Just don't have anything to announce specifically on that question. Okay, thanks everybody. See you tomorrow.
She couldn't run away fast enough. She said goodbye faster than Salty does at the end of his videos. She's like, all right, I'm out. Just ran away. Yeah, nice and scared. Happy freedom, Heaven Mag. God bless you. I appreciate you being here. If you guys thought it was over, you'd be wrong. We still have lots to do. So we will be moving forward. This is like the longest Coffee with Hooligans we've ever done. And I'm here for it. I'm here all day for it. I like it. So we're moving forward to a video talking about Old Man Walter's classified documents. It says Biden classified documents were sent to D.C. Chinatown facility before think tank. The video is about 8 minutes long. We're going to be watching that here in a second. I'm going to read through the chat before we get it started. Drop some ones in the chat if you're ready to go. Getting a little out of order. We're supposed to cover Alec Baldwin. We'll do that afterwards. right, I'm seeing some ones in the chat. Let's get her started, hooligans.
Documents seized from Joe Biden's home Friday in a 12-hour search by DOJ officials, and a disturbing new turn in Biden's document scandal. New reports this morning indicate some of the documents were placed at yet another temporary address, this time in D.C.'s Chinatown neighborhood, before traveling to the Penn Biden think tank in D.C., which, of course, paid Biden $900,000 after the think tank accepted donations, millions, from China. Also, the Daily Mail is reporting that the packing up of the documents at the tail end of Biden's vice presidency were overseen by an aide recommended by first son Hunter Biden. We do not know what she knew about the classified documents.
The eyes of a crackhead.
Was ultimately reporting. We do not know if she was ultimately reporting back to the Chinese Communist Party.
That's not a flattering angle.
The committee's work following these new discoveries is House Oversight and Reform Chairman Congressman James Comer. Mr. Chairman, it's good to have you this morning. Thanks for being here.
Good morning.
Your reaction to these new discoveries, what do we know about the links between Joe Biden and Communist China in terms of the money paid to the Biden family? Has that dictated the way he treats our number one adversary?
Why is she yelling?
I think most Americans would be shocked if they saw how many connections the Biden family has to people directly affiliated with the Chinese Communist Party. It's very startling. And with respect to the documents, Maria, I took the president at his word when the first set of documents were found at the Biden Center for Diplomacy that he had just inadvertently misplaced those.
Winnie the Pooh.
But now this has gone from just simply being irresponsible to downright scary. This has all the patterns of an influence peddling scheme, and it also has the makings of a potential cover-up. I mean,
aw, dang. Coming full circle now.
Personal attorneys have been doing, and when you look at all the things that our investigation is covering with respect to the influence peddling, there's a lot of connections with the CCP directly to both Hunter Biden, Hunter Biden's Uncle Jim, and Joe Biden.
This is just...
David, her voice is like razor blades. It's not great, I'll say that.
He wants to overtake the United States as the number one superpower. Can you give us assurances that you're going to get to the bottom of this? We know that they are already stonewalling. They sent a letter to you and your colleagues, Jim Jordan, saying this is an active investigation. We're not going to answer any of your questions. How will you get to the bottom of it?
Well, fortunately for me, with the influence peddling investigation, we have a lot of people that worked with Hunter Biden that we've been meeting with for many months now. I don't think that's any secret. And, you know, there are a lot of terms that these people say the Bidens use, like plausible deniability. That's a term that Uncle Jim Biden uses a lot. And then when you see that there are documents, classified documents, just casually left around in different locations, it's very concerning. I mean, you see the complexity of this influence peddling scheme that the family's been doing for years and years and years. And then we learned Joe Biden, some of those documents were from his time as a U.S. Senator. I mean,
if Hyena Harris was to take over, does that mean she gets a whole 4 years from when she takes over?
For the CIA director, because he had inadvertently taken classified documents home. So when Joe Biden says he has no regrets, I mean, this is
no regrets.
We need to know who had access to those documents.
That's the real old man, Walter.
This is an ongoing investigation for influence peddling, and
you can tell by the nose.
To build that this family has not only profited off the Biden family name, but also that our national security could be at risk. That's why we need to proceed. We're disappointed that the administration's not working with us on anything. They're stonewalling everything. They're going to try to use the general counsel as an excuse not to provide us information. But
I'll check it out, John Costello. Thanks for letting me know.
And hopefully those bank records will be able to answer a lot of questions that we have.
150 suspicious activity reports as money was transferred to several different accounts that were run by Hunter Biden, as we know from the evidence on the laptop. If they stonewall you, will you hold them in contempt?
We'll do everything we can to get the answers. And
yeah, we'll see. Christopher, has anyone asked if the lawyers had clearance to get the documents? As far as I know, they did not, and they do not have clearance to get those documents. Supposedly, they had called the authorities, and someone with, clearance picked them up, I believe.
For other people who were getting millions.
They've kind of referenced it a few times since this started.
I mean, this isn't the most complex investigation on the planet. Investigating Hunter, the Biden family is about like tracking a bleeding bear through a snowstorm. I mean, there's evidence everywhere that would point out that this family has been involved in the influence peddling scheme for decades. And this is very concerning. And I think that the American people.
Decades.
The fact that these documents
doesn't sound good
in so many different locations. Does anyone believe that those classified documents, when they left the vice president's office, they just took them to multiple locations all over the East Coast?
Yeah.
It has the appearance that someone would have taken them and moved them around. I mean, this is very concerning. Hopefully the Secret Service is going to work with us. We're requesting tomorrow formally any type of correspondence, any type of emails, any type of documentation that would help us determine who actually had access to those documents. And hopefully the Secret Service will work with us, despite the fact that this White House is not.
So just to be clear, you are sending letters tomorrow morning, formal letters to the Secret Service to request information on who had information about those documents. And we just showed a picture of the diamond, 3.2 carat diamond that Hunter Biden accepted from Chinese officials. This we know from the laptop. We know that there are ways to hide wealth in diamonds because you don't have to put it in a will, you don't have to pay taxes, you just give it to somebody.
It's a huge diamond.
This diamond. What powers are left to combat this?
Look, we
3.16 carats.
Then I need to talk about right now, that diamond was given to Hunter at about the time these documents were being transported to different locations. It's very concerning. Two ways the Chinese try to launder money into the United States are through the art world and through diamonds. Do you see a connection here, Maria? I mean, this is very concerning. And I think the good thing for our investigation with respect to how the mainstream media is covering this, the mainstream media can sit there and look at Jean-Pierre and tell that she's not being truthful with the American people. They had that Ian Sams come up yesterday and had a press conference, and he talked about everything but the fact that they had found additional documents. Why didn't he say that at that press conference? He has no credibility. The White House isn't being truthful with the American people. We need to know now who had access to those documents because our national security could be at risk.
Well, is this treason?
It's very concerning. We're not going to let up. I think that we've got plenty of information to move forward. This would be a lot easier if the White House would work with us.
Would a KJP answer? Is this treason? Well, word salad. How would you like your dressing?
They brought in to fight back against the investigators, which is preposterous because this is the oversight committee. We're supposed to provide oversight to the federal government and the executive branch. It's nothing but slurs. They need to work with us. The American people can see through this. The media is starting to see, CNN, CBS, other mainstream media.
All right, we're just going to cut it a little short. I'm not getting no copyright BS over that nonsense. So that shines a little bit of light on what they were talking about during the press briefing as far as it looking like a cover-up and stuff like that. A little more detail on that. All right, so we're going to be moving forward. We're going to cover an article about Alec Baldwin. Let me see what I got wrote here. See, I'm going to get sued saying that stuff. So we're going to be covering an article talking about Alec Baldwin being hit with involuntary manslaughter charges like over a year later. If it was one of us, we'd already be serving time. There's no question about it. You smoke somebody, you're serving time immediately, even if it was just. Even if you're defending yourself legally, you're still going to go to jail for a while until they sort it out. Not Alec Baldwin, though. He's immune to that kind of stuff. So I'm going to be dropping this article in the chat so you guys can follow along with me in just a moment. Costello. Well, to be fair, unlike lefties, he'd probably be charged with slander or something if he was to go out and actually say it was treason. Yeah, that could be. That could be. Absolutely. Mr. Beansy Bean, you think instead of giving Hunter a diamond, they just give him a couple cases of Parmesan? I mean, you would think, I don't know, maybe China doesn't have Parmesan. I'm not sure. I'm just sitting here posting links in the chat on the website, but nobody's watching for some reason. I think everybody's over on YouTube. All right, Hooligans. So I dropped a link in all of the chats. Should bring you to this article here talking about Alec Baldwin hit with involuntary manslaughter in death of we'll say Miss Hutchins. Helena? I don't want to mess this up. This person's not with us anymore, so we'll just say Hutchins. We'll go with that. So he's facing up to 18 months in prison. Alec Baldwin was charged with 2 counts of involuntary manslaughter in the death of Miss Hutchins. Hannah Gutierrez Reed, who is an armorer on the film Rust, was also charged with 2 counts of involuntary manslaughter. Alec Baldwin's attorney spoke about the charges in a statement to Fox News Digital, saying, "This decision," I don't know why I just said it like that. All right, Hooligans, say it with me. Chicken bacon, chicken bacon, chicken bacon, chicken bacon, bacon, chicken bacon, chicken bacon, chicken bacon, chicken. All right, let's move her forward. All right, where are we? Saying the decision distorts Miss Hutchins' tragic death and represents a terrible miscarriage of justice. Luke, somebody of Quinn in normal, I don't know what this is, somebody said Mr. Baldwin had no reason to believe there was a live bullet in the gun or anywhere on the movie set. He relied on the professionals with whom he worked, who assured him that the gun did not have live rounds. "We will fight these charges and we will win," said that person. If Baldwin is convicted, he could be facing up to 18 months in prison. Involuntary manslaughter in New Mexico is a Class D felony punishable up to 18 months in prison. Former Assistant U.S. Attorney Nima somebody explained to Fox News Digital, "If Baldwin is convicted, I can see him being sentenced at or near the max." Now, breaking away from the article, I personally thought that number was low. You can't smoke someone, whether you meant to or not, and only do 18 months. I've never heard of that. Now, as stated, that's New Mexico, right? And I don't live there, so that must just be what it is. But I decided to Google it just in case anyone I knew here in Michigan was charged with this, and this is what Google said. If you were found to have committed the crime of manslaughter, you are guilty of a felony punishable up to 15 years in prison and a fine as much as $7,500, according to the Michigan Penal Code 750.321. It didn't state a voluntary, involuntary. I was to have to dig through nonsense and was finding different answers and stuff. But I just think it's 18 months because someone's not with us anymore and it's your fault even though you didn't mean to do it, versus a 15-year penalty, which sounds a little bit more like it, right? You smoke somebody on purpose, murder, that's 20 years, right? You're getting life. But I don't know, 18 months? Is that going to make everybody who smoked somebody else say, "Oh man, I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to do it. You know, I pulled the trigger, didn't know what was going to happen. Loud sound, flash of light, and I was the only one in the room afterwards. So I didn't mean for it to happen. Let's just give me the 18-month sentence and call it a day. You know, I don't want to do 20 years. So is that what's going to happen? Because that's kind of what it sounds like. So the article goes on to say, Miss Hutchins passed when a gun Alec Baldwin was holding was fired while practicing a scene on October 21st, 2021. The group had been rehearsing in a small church on the Bonanza Creek Ranch set. The filming of Rust it says it would continue in January 2023, which is right now, but it would not return to Mexico, where Miss Hutchins' death has occurred, although it hasn't been confirmed whether Baldwin will rejoin the production. Because, of course, that's going to depend on whether or not he's incarcerated. So anyways, that's just a little follow-up on Alec Baldwin. Out here smoking people on accident. It's an accident. He'll be out in 18 months. Who's victim number 2? I'm going to read through the chat really quick because I can't read through the chat while I'm reading an article, so I miss what you guys say. So I'm going to read through the chat really quick, and we're going to be wrapping this up with a video from On the Ground with Tara. She's in Paris right now covering the riots and stuff, so we're going to show a little bit about that. Just going to read through the chat really quick. Okay, Guardian, chicken bacon. Now I'm hungry. Me too. I'm like so hungry that I can like smell what my neighbors are cooking, being far away from them. I was not feeling great last night, and I didn't really eat. It is what it is. All right, reading through the chat. David, he will get low-level probation for about a month. Yeah, most likely, because you know he's better than all of us. He gets special treatment and stuff. Sam, you can go to jail longer just for stealing money. That's so crazy. That's so crazy. Smoke somebody, say it's an accident, 18 months. Keep that locked in the back of your brain. All right, hooligans. So we're gonna move forward to this video. So this is basically our continued coverage of what's going on over there. We had talked about it a few days ago, showing some clips and whatnot. Let's see. So the title of this video, Paris, riot police break up pension reform protest after bank building is attacked. This video is provided by On the Ground with Tara. We've actually covered a lot of her work here in the U.S., covering protests and rallies and stuff like that under the name Polish American Brotherhood. She runs multiple channels. She's on a new channel right now, On the Ground with Tara, and she's trying to build that up if you guys would like to go support her. She's currently in France specifically to cover this footage. I actually spoke with her yesterday, letting her know that we appreciate her and to stay safe out there on the front lines. I actually was reaching out to her to make sure she was tip-top and whatnot, and she wrote me back, and it was really cool. And so this is her footage. This is what she covered, and she actually went through some extensive planning to be there on time and present for this event. So she's got pretty good coverage here. Let's get her started. Nay, how do you take your coffee? I drink it black. I don't put anything in it. There's Tara, right there. Like right there in the mix. Nay, you like yours with a good amount of sugar in it, huh? Add some coffee to your sugar. That's all right. Well, it's not a peaceful protest without fire in the streets. Ain't that right, hooligans? John Costello, son of a millionaire, got arrested for domestic terrorism. Got released on bail 5 days after, then got arrested again for it in the riots in ATL. I think it's not just a millionaire. I think it's a congressman. I think it's the son of a congressman or something like that. Some political official. But yeah, exactly. Oh, they must be really oppressed, right? They're out there rioting because they're so oppressed. Son of a millionaire. Poor guy. At least the law is actually doing something about these people misbehaving and whatnot. So I just want to remind everyone, this footage is in Paris. It's like one thing to be filming a riot and all this stuff. I couldn't imagine doing it in a foreign country where you didn't have 30 years to learn how things work and the laws and stuff. You're just hoping for the best in the middle of a chaotic situation. Tara is pretty brave for doing this. Snooks, Tifa pushed Tara and Tara had to be pulled off of him. She doesn't take any nonsense. Yeah, she seems pretty tip top. Oh, John Costello, it's a different person. Holy moly. If you can find the article on that, send it to me so I can read on it.
Allez, on les nasse! Bon, 48 mecs, ça fait... Ah bah, c'est moins impressionnant.
Drew, you having flashbacks? Yep. I mean, things are getting active, you know, in Atlanta and stuff, and all they got to do is have something really bad happen, and then the whole country will go up in flames in solidarity. That's how it goes. Of course, it's still cold outside. I imagine by the time things warm up, they'll have new things to be oppressed over. We'll see how it goes. Nay, DoorDash can keep you company. There's actually no DoorDash where I live. There's no DoorDash, no Uber Eats or anything like that. Hooligan suggested that I actually bring that to this area, and I may do that. But no, there's no delivery here or anything like that. I live in the middle of nowhere. I live in nowhere, Michigan.
pas être en mode détente. Descends, on va,
You guys still using Nightbot to tell the weather? I always forget that it does that. Billy Bob, open a JeffMac's diner next door. I would love to own a restaurant. I would love to do that. I used to work in restaurants for a long time, probably 8-10 years or something like that, worth of experience working in restaurants. They're not that great to, work in when it's not being taken care of correctly, but I know so much about it and I have so many ideas and they're so lacking in actual diners around me. I would love I like the Where's Waldo outfit. That's awesome. William, you still have the Subaru? Oh yeah, I'll have that Subaru. I think another 100,000 miles or something like that, as long as I keep taking care of it. As long as I keep bringing it to the shop every week. No, it's knock on wood. It's been a little while, a little bit longer than a week, and I'm so broke right now. I wouldn't survive if my car went down right now, but it's doing pretty good. I should have another 100K miles. See, Bravo, we found Waldo. Honestly, other than the fire, this is kind of a really chill protest. The police are unarmed. The citizens are definitely unarmed due to their country. They're just kind of hanging out. That's an Antifa tune. Yep, they brought the drummers in. Hooligans. So that's pretty much the end of that video right there. I assume Tara will be continuing footage while she's there. She, as far as I know, plans on coming back to the US at some point. So big shout out to her. and her awesome coverage. All right. Well, that's that, Hooligans. We're going to wrap this up. This is the longest Coffee with Hooligans we've ever done, I think. 2 hours, 46 minutes right now. That's awesome. Definitely can't do that every day, but I'm glad I was able to do that with you guys today. Let me give you my spiel, then we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. So, when you guys get a second, please go to jeffmaclive.com, or you can also find the link in the description. On the homepage is pretty much a new link tree. All my links are listed on the homepage. You can find the link to join Gilded for free. Gilded is currently the best way to receive notifications for when and where we go live every single time we go live, no matter where we go live. You'll also receive notifications for important updates. There's a news board in Gilded to keep you up to date with everything going on around the world. There's a ton of hooligans in there to hang out with every day, all day. It's basically a group chat with different channels of chats based on topics and stuff like that. Most people just hang out in general chat though, and you know, just have fun and whatnot. It's not very serious in there. It's not like an echo chamber where everybody's like freaking out and stuff. People most of the time are posting memes and telling jokes and talking about their day and just being hooligans. Also on jeffmaclive.com on the homepage, you can find links to the merch store. If you would like to get merch, we have shirts, hoodies, stickers. Everything is displayed in black and white, but if you find something you like, click on it and you can see all the available colors that item comes in. On jeffmaclive.com homepage, you can find links to PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, Stripe, Zelle, and Buy Me a Coffee if you would like to support what I do. There is also a link to the Amazon wish list if you would like to send me stuff. It's very easy to use. Anything you purchase will be sent directly to me without having to, seek information or worry about contact or anything like that. If you purchase it, it'll just be sent directly to me. I think there's like a gift option, and as long as you click it, they'll let you write like your username and stuff in there. That way I know where it's coming from. Otherwise, the package just says Amazon fulfillment. So I just want to add that because sometimes I receive items and I don't know who sent it to me, and that makes me feel bad that I can't shout you guys out. So that's that. Also on the JeffMAC Live homepage, you can find all the links to join the membership program. There's membership programs on YouTube, Gilded, Discord, Odyssey, Rumble, and Twitch. If you guys would like to join the membership program. Also, the live stream setting is all good on jeffmaclive.com. So if you would like to start watching live on jeffmaclive.com, just go there, check out the memberships and stuff. That's probably the only way to pay for a membership where there's nothing being taken out of it. That just goes straight to me. Everything else, 30, 40, 50% is being given to these platforms. Like on Twitch, every dime you put through Twitch, 50% of it goes to them. Rumble and YouTube, they take 30%. Odyssey, most of this stuff, they don't take anything. But I think there's like a processing fee with credits, and that's how they make money. But as far as donations and membership, I don't think they take anything. I might be wrong on that, but the memberships, I believe, they don't take anything. But that's how the memberships work. If you would like to check that stuff out, that is my spiel. Just to let you guys know that all of that is there for you to enjoy. So let's get ready for the pledge. All right, hooligans, please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, hooligans, well, that is that. I do not have anything else to cover today. I'm going to read through the chat really quick because I see my name tagged a billion times and I don't want you guys to think I'm ignoring you. So I will read through the chat really quick and we're going to be wrapping this up. I do not have anything else planned today. If we see chaos and stuff on the screen, we're going to go live to cover that. If it's too spicy, we're going to have to cut YouTube out of the equation because YouTube's community guidelines are outrageous. I have gone through all the hoops there is to go through to provide free speech platforms for you hooligans. You can go to Rumble, Odyssey, or watch at jeffmaclive.com. Yes, those are the places to be. So if it gets too spicy over here, you might be able to go find other channels willing to risk it all to show that stuff, but it ain't going to be the hooligans. So I suggest that you make yourself a spot over on Odyssey or Rumble or on jeffmaclive.com. That way you can watch the chaos and the fires and the nonsense that are not allowed to be shown on YouTube. Just a suggestion. Either way, I'm going to read through the chat really quick, and then we're going to wrap this up. The K-Guardian, how many people follow you across the board? I have no idea. Because there's a lot of hooligans that they have accounts on multiple platforms. There's a few hooligans that are omnipresent. They're on all platforms. They have an account, and they hang out in the chat all across the board. Like Sam. Sam is one of them. He's everywhere. He's omnipresent on all of them. It could be like 70,000, 80,000 maybe. It's kind of hard to say. And then, really what does it matter when only 200 people show up or something like that, right? The numbers are kind of like vanity, and so I don't pay a whole lot of attention to it. I just appreciate who shows up every day. I know a lot of channels don't even observe the chat when they go live, and for me, it only matters to talk to the chat. The other stuff is only of value if we're here together. So I pay lots of attention to the chat as much as I can while still being able to do my job. So I appreciate you guys, and I know you by name. I look for you in the chat. It's not like you're going unnoticed. It is difficult to monitor. I'm monitoring and reading 6 chats now live, so I'm flipping through the pages and reading all of your guys' chats. And I'm trying to respond to everything you guys say. And sometimes, things happen and I mess up. I'm not perfect. But I do try. I do care. I do notice all of you. I do appreciate all of you. It's not taken for granted in any kind of way. The whole time I'm not live, all I do is talk about you guys in the best of ways. So I just want you guys to know that. But I'm going to read through the chat really quick and we're going to wrap this up. John Costello, I will respond to your email. I didn't realize you already sent me one. Maybe it got lost. I will look for you. I will look for you. If I don't see it, I will search through the email. 24/7, did you lose a playoff bet and have to shave your head? No, I'm getting old, and like right in here, there's this line that connects as my hair gets longer, and so when I shave it, I look younger. I look more put together, and that matters to me. No, Gary, haven't seen Duel yet. I gotta figure out where I can watch it. I was trying to look for it over the weekend and I couldn't find it, but it was late at night and I had drinking a couple twisted teas, so that could have just been on me. K-Guardian, what time is Warzone? What time is it? I will let you know. I don't have a specific time. It'll be, man, it's hard to say. If you go to JeffMAC Gaming on YouTube, it's a fresh channel, so I assume if you subscribe on there and I go live, I think everyone will get the notifications, especially because it'll be the first time I'm live on that channel. So if you want to watch me play the game and narrate what I'm thinking and doing and just being hilarious, and I know not everybody wants to see that, but if you would like to see that, go to JeffMAC Gaming YouTube channel. We're going to be trying to go live later tonight, most likely playing Warzone 2. Robert, did you research the name I sent you? Was it today? I'm trying to think, because I remember pulling up some, man, I don't know. You have to send it to me again. I'm pretty sure I did, but I can't remember now. I do so much every day. Yeah. I mean, we're live in 11 locations. I only read 6 of the chats out of those locations because the other ones, I never know if anyone's going to be there, so it's not worth my effort to monitor it until I know for sure that people are going to be watching. What's up, Mr. Dog? I just don't like people feeling like I'm ignoring them. I care. I care about everybody. That's what makes me mad. That's because I care so much. Yeah. Thank you so much, Terry, for that $5 donation on YouTube. I appreciate you. Thank you. All right, hooligans. Not trying to drag this on, just trying to give you guys the time you deserve, right? Mr. Beansy Bean, if you make a diner, name it Hooligan Cafe. I will. That's a great name. I would love that. Thank you so much, Alan Mackey, for that $5 donation on YouTube. I appreciate you. Thank you so much, Alan. All right, hooligans, we're going to wrap it up. I just read through all the chats. Hopefully I responded to all of you, looking for responses and whatnot. If we do not gather again today for chaos in the streets or anything like that, I will see you tomorrow at 1 p.m. for another Coffee with Hooligans. I appreciate all of you being here. Big shout out to everyone that made donations, joined the membership program, or purchased any merch. I really appreciate all of you, and I would not be able to do this without you. So thank you guys so much for all your support. I'll see you on the next live. Until then, stand tall, shine bright, and that's a wrap.